How are you doing?
Hey, what's up? It's Geoff Goodman. How you guys doing?
Might have to be a little bit close to the microphone.
I don't do this.
But everybody, the first developer is coming to come say hello, answer some questions, if any you may have, chat. This is Geoff Goodman.
Yeah, that's a lot better here. Okay.
Let's see,
Hey, guys.
let me increase your mic volume just a second. Try talking now.
Hello.
Ooh, there he is.
All right. Oh man, it's been a crazy morning.
I know, it's, you guys got, I can't believe you guys even made the tech to make something like this possible. Yeah. You basically made Spider-Man in Overwatch to some extent with some crazy grappling hooks. Like, I feel insane.
Yeah, this is an idea we actually had way back with some of the original concepts of Heroes. We never really figured out a lot of the details of how we were going to make it work. It was sort of like a back of our mind project, and then eventually we're just like, we're going to do it. Now's a good time to do it.
Yeah.
So we just kind of like spent all the time. In fact, there's still, I've been watching the streams all morning, there's still a few bugs. Good thing we have PTR.
Just a few bugs.
Yeah. It's not quite, perfect yet. I'm sure we'll get there. He actually originally started, I think some of the, even the earlier concept art's actually out there still of like, he's kind of this, he was like this junkyard, like magnet bot is kind of what we were going with. He was just kind of the robot back then, and he had all these like kind of magnet abilities where he would pull in all the bullets to him, and he could tank them, reflect them and stuff like that. It was a long time ago. So that kind of just, we have a lot of concepts that are kind of just sitting around, not really doing anything. So we got pretty excited about this interesting other direction, actually going with Hammond.
It seems crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I know you guys have said in interviews before that you've talked about how you used to have something called the Jetpack Cat. And you guys talked about how you weren't really sure how crazy you wanted Overwatch to get.
Yeah.
Have standards changed since Jetpack Cat?
I don't know. I mean, I think, that does come up as like, Winston was sort of possibly our most sort of out there concept, and I think maybe that's been usurped now. But I don't think necessarily means like, we're not just, this isn't like, oh no, it's slippery slope, who knows, and we're gonna have all kinds of animals now or whatever. It's not that. I think it's just this, we just sort of fell in love with this concept, and again, it sort of started a different way, and kind of we had this like just kind of one-off concept, like what if it was related to Lunar Horizon Colony and had all this thing. We're just like, yeah, that's amazing.
It's like, we have this ball, what if a hamster was in it?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it went, actually. It's a pretty crazy place to work, let me tell you. But yeah, so we start to get concepts out for everything, and I get to prototyping right away, and just what would be cool. I wasn't like thinking hamster-related abilities necessarily as much as the ball.
It's all about the ball, not about the hamster.
So that's kind of where it all started, and then we started adding abilities over time and removing abilities, and this guy went through a lot of different iteration. Actually, the designer who originally started working on this, his name is Adam Poole. He was working with us for a while. He's actually a Diablo designer, but he's on our team for a while, which is pretty nice. So he got in there real quick, and he's like, I was like, while you're helping us out, what about this concept we've been working on for a while? And he started concepting that. It was kind of quite a curveball to throw for like a first foray into our tools and everything, but he did a great job, and everyone was loving it. So we sort of took over and finished it out, and a lot of the abilities, like that slam ability, came a little bit later, because actually the big thing was the hook. The hook wasn't even like right out the gate. It was just like, we want to do like this ball that rolls around and smashes into people. It's super fun, this mobility move. And then we just like tried this hook idea out, and it was, they were still working on some of the tech. There's still some bugs there. It's mostly there now. We'll have everything cleaned up pretty soon, but it's like, once we got that in there, it kind of transformed everything. It's like, now you got all the vertical mobility.
Now he's crazy. He's like, he went from, I could see how if he didn't have the hook, he'd almost be kind of boring, because he just rolls around in a ball, and that's all he would have. But now with vertical mobility, it adds everything, because just even playing just that 1 or 2 games I play with him now, I can just imagine so many different players come up with all these hook routes where basically I'm going to know exactly where I have to hook and like keep the momentum, so I go flying through doors and act literally, as his name in game is Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, totally.
Because I think a lot of his damage is going to be, you could actually just hook a corner and just come down over and over like a Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, totally.
And I don't know how much damage it does, but it seems like it's pretty decent.
The impact does 50 right now, just on the, if you get hooked onto something, you actually get this sort of, people have seen it by now, you get the extra speed boost, and that's where you kind of like light on fire, and during that moment is where you actually do the knockback and do the damage and everything. So there's all kinds of cool combos you can do that it can be pretty tricky to pull off. Like you said,
Yeah.
it's like really getting that
Seems
angle.
extremely high skill cap
It's
when
like-
it comes to some of them.
Yeah,
I can
especially the map, knowing all the maps and exactly where to go and everything.
Reminds me a little bit of Doomfist because
Yeah.
Doomfist players, they have to know exactly the height they can uppercut on a lot of maps
Yeah,
and
yeah.
where they can go. And this character is going to be the same type of way where you want to know all of your normal. If you're going to hook a corner, you want to know exactly where you're going.
Yeah. And I think the general rule of thumb when you're playing him is like try to hook yourself really high, basically, because you're going to get the widest angle and you can get a lot of height off of that and everything. That's sort of like the biggest tip if people want to try him out. But yeah, once we got that hook in there, it was like, oh, and this is a crazy idea. And we tried it, and we're like, this is actually really awesome and totally fixed the Wrecking Ball theme. And,
Yeah.
Originally, he was just, like I said, on the ground, and we had this idea where, maybe it's like takes a while to build up speed, and maybe you can use ramps to go faster, which actually still exists. If you go down ramps, he actually goes a little bit faster. He won't go into that level 3 speed like super fast, but you can actually use the environment to speed up.
It does make sense. He is a ball.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be kind of weird
Yeah.
playing a ball character and not speeding up if I was going down a hill.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot of like subtle stuff in there too. Like if you just stop on a slope, he'll just start to roll
sliding?
down. Yeah,
oh,
start to roll down.
yeah, that makes sense.
There's like a lot of little stuff we did there. So that was sort of the original thing. And like you said, you're like, yeah, it sounds like that'd be kind of boring. Yeah, it was pretty boring actually.
Okay,
It was like-
that makes sense.
It was like, oh man, this is sort of cool when it works, but there's a lot of times where you're just like, you can't build up speed, or there's no ramps in this level, or there's. So the hook sort of just was like game changing. It's like, oh, now then the slam idea came into play,
Yeah.
and it was like, oh man, this whole kit, and then the slam pulls everybody in, and you have a thing where like. The shield is the more enemies near you, the bigger it is. So you pull people in, and then you shield, and then the mines, of course, are close. It's like this whole package,
Everything
right?
synergizes together
Exactly.
really well.
Also, what's cool about the mines is if you launch up in the air really high and drop them, they actually they fall down at an angle. So
They spread out more.
The pattern will be more spread out.
Oh, okay.
So you can kind of control the pattern a little bit. Like if you want to drop them, try to cover all of Hanamura B, you could try to get real high or something.
So can the enemies destroy the mines?
Yeah. They have 50 health right now. It's quite a bit, actually. It seems like, we still get feedback occasionally. It's like, it's pretty hard to kill him if you're Zenyatta or Lucio. There are certain heroes that are definitely have a harder time. Although Zen actually has a cool trick where you can just ult and try to blow them all up. With your
You could.
So that's pretty cool.
So then it's not necessarily an ability you want to use like before the fight. You want to use it in the middle of it because they have less health.
Chaos, yeah. It's hard to sort of be in the middle of a fight and you're worried about your positioning, and then suddenly there's all these mines, and now you're like, well, where do I stand now?
How much damage does each mine do? Because I notice he drops like 10 or 12, I think, and just a giant circle around him. But
I can't remember the exact amount. It's like 120 or 130. It's quite a bit.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's basically just like a fair rocket
Pretty
for each
much.
one almost.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, especially if if they're not ready for. Or of course, if you combo with anything, Zarya is always the best combo. She's the combo queen, so
Oh yeah.
everything works with her, including this.
I can imagine. It's just a really, really fun character, and I'm really excited because one of the things that I missed from other games in Overwatch was skill-based movement, and I feel like this character is pretty much the epitome of skill-based movement. I don't think you get much more skill-based movement than this. But
I have a lot of people falling off to their deaths accidentally.
I'm actually scared to play on this map right now.
Yeah, but you can do stuff like on that pillar right there. I don't even know if this is good necessarily, but you could just swing around there and become like this sort of
I'm gonna try that right
area denial just by yourself, and you're just like, well, see, and you keep going. And like, he's really weak to CC. I think I've already seen people playing Mei against him. And, that's PTR for you.
Sounds like PTR.
Right. I've been told top men are on that. That's the quote. Top men.
Top
okay,
men.
Top men. Good. Yeah, but like in the playtest, he's got a huge hitbox. So it's like he's like a sleep dart magnet. Mei is really easy to freeze him, and he does. He's got a lot of mobility, but it's all actually like moving around as opposed to blinking around. So Mei actually is just really effective against slowing people down. So that's really strong, and stuns Brigitte, McCree, stuff like anytime you can stop him. Actually, even simple as like a Orisa halt, just for the slow, like because you just lose all your momentum, and he's so much about the momentum, and it's like it's really hard to sort of get it back up to speed, and you're sitting around the whole team probably because you probably dropped on everybody.
So in other words, you don't want to get trapped as by a Junkrat.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's real bad. You probably won't live through that. What's cool about his shields, actually, I don't think anybody's picked up on this, and we don't want to like overload the F1 tip with like just a bunch of nuance on there. But his adaptive shield, actually, we got new tech in, so that shield buffer that he gets doesn't give ult to the enemy team when they shoot it.
Oh, is that similar to how Lucio works? I forget.
No, Lucio, you actually get ult right now. We talked about maybe changing that as well for him. We'll see how this goes.
I remember people were confused about that a while back.
Yeah, there's actually, that's why you sometimes see those videos where like Lucio ult a bunch of people and then you like boop them all in the pit.
Yeah,
and you get full health credit for their over health too, and you just get like your ult instantly.
Yeah.
So it's like
that makes a lot of
crazy amount of ult credit. But yeah, it's really nice because it's like, we want to do this tank concept. We don't want to like drop another Winston dome in front of everybody because like we have a lot of barriers.
There's
in the game.
I would say there's a lot of visual clutter in the game.
Yeah.
And so if you drop another type of big shield like that, then it becomes hard to actually see stuff.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. So we were like doing everything we can. Like, what could we do? What's a cool tank move we could do to get in there and feel like you're taking for your team and surviving, but not drop this huge shield, right? So that's where we came up with this idea where it's like, he's just really hard to kill for that window, and you could drop in and you feel like you can kind of go 1v5, 1v6 for at least that window of time, and still get out, unless you get CC'd to death, but that can happen. But yeah, so that's why that shield is so massive. It's actually 100 over shields base, and then 100 extra per target near you. There's actually
Hammond's got pretty strong CC.
A little indicator in the bottom left of your HUD that like will actually count the number of targets around you, so you can see.
Yeah, I saw that.
So like,
it reminds me of the Lucio Aura stuff, where it tells you how many people are around you.
Yeah. So yeah, it came with that. We were playtesting originally, and was like, well, I'm dropping in. I have 1100 health or whatever. But then Reaper just shoots me a couple times and he ults me or something because it's like he gets so much ult.
Reaper would act because he's such a huge character.
He's also spherical, so you get like the spread.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah. Like you cannot miss him. If even a single pellet will every single pellet will hit him.
Yeah,
that must be crazy. The only thing I get worried about with something like Hammond is when I noticed wait, do you guys call him Hammond or Wrecking Ball?
He's Wrecking Ball.
Really? Yeah, you guys call him Wrecking Ball?
Yeah.
Wait.
His name is Hammond, like sort of like Lena is Tracer, right? It's like that's his name, but in the game he's Wrecking Ball, and everybody.
There is zero chance everyone is going to call him Wrecking Ball. I'm just telling you this right now. The community is going to rename him Hammond.
That's fine. I'm okay with that. I've come to terms with it.
The only thing I was worried about was I noticed when he does the drop, I think it's called the Piledriver.
Yeah.
He does a massive AoE knock-up of everyone, and that's almost CC of like everyone in the range.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like that CC feels incredibly strong to me on a first playthrough, where essentially I can grappling hook in, I can drop down, and I can tank for a little bit. And not only do I do damage to them, but they're also CC'd. And so if I have any teammates who are also going with me at the same time, I get like I can just imagine, the Winston leap. They also knocks them up a little bit.
I see, yeah.
So if you have double knock-up, you can actually boot people off of maps really easily that way.
There's not a whole lot of lateral movement. It's mostly like vertical. It does pull people into you to some degree, but it does the thing that Doomfist uppercut does, which it actually disables your air control a little bit.
Yeah, you don't have air strafing, yeah.
Yeah, so it basically allows your team to be able to line up shots predictably, because they're not going to be dodging in the air, for this moment anyway, especially for the Widow, Hanzo, some kind of sniper. And you can line up the shots really easily. It helps a lot. But it's not actually hard CC. Like, you can do all your abilities and everything. Like, if you're Tracer, you can just blink away or recall.
Yeah, you're right.
So I think, especially with the type of abilities we have in the game, it's surprising how easy it is to sort of get out of, depending on your comp. It can also be blocked by barriers, so if you turn it the right way, you can block a lot of people. Of course, if you're jumping behind somebody, that can be difficult, or jumping behind the Reinhardt. It's just... We have some experimental maps too, and there's a map where we have a statue in the middle of it, like a temp statue, and we have people just go around that the whole time, just because like on the capture point. And just,
I feel like any small pillar on any map, basically, you're just gonna find this and you're just gonna swing in circles. Someone's gonna do it. It's going to happen.
Yeah, it's sort of like you're kind of tanking. People like can't help but not shoot at you. I mean, they have to shoot at you basically. It's like this beacon.
So. You said the initial impacts, let's say you just do that type of spin move that does around 50 damage.
So that's just running into somebody actually does 50 if you're going full speed. Yeah. The slam ability is interesting. It can do up to 100 if you land right on somebody. It's got like really strong fall off. It falls off all the way down to 20 over an 8-meter range. So it kind of extra rewards the accuracy. If you land right on somebody, you don't get the pull effect really because they're already right there, but you get all that extra damage. So. There's some cool combos I haven't even really seen people do yet, because obviously it's brand new.
Yeah, I was curious actually. Is it possible to get the knock damage from going speed? Like, I think if you do a perfect combo, you could get the knock damage, go in the air at the same time.
Exactly.
And then pile drive them
Yeah,
all in one combo.
Yeah, exactly. It's tricky to do. I've played him quite a bit, and
that sounds very difficult.
Yeah, you basically have to kind of hit him as you're going up.
Yeah, that's what
so
it seems like.
You're already kind of right above them at the right time. You almost hit there.
Oh, that was close. That was close. Yeah.
You can kind of get some burst damage there. As you said, it's pretty hard to do. I think as people get really good at him and know certain map spots, it might be sort of easier in those spots.
His knockback seems extremely strong
Yeah.
on his normal abilities.
He also he gets that sort of, we internally were calling it level 3 speed because he had these kind of 3 gears he goes into, but it's basically just a ramp speed. Oh, get that. Well, that's good. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's... I dropped the mines in the air, so I didn't get the full combo, but...
Even just slamming into that, though, like I just said, because the damage, the center of the damage is so high, and she groups them so tight that you can get kind of 100 on everybody, if you can land right on everybody. So even that, without the ult, is super strong. You can use this as like a launch point, too, if you time it just right, and launch and then hit your slam, or the Piledriver. I just call it slam all the time, because internally we kept calling it was called slam for a while, so... Oh.
Yeah, they got knocked up pretty far, but they still can't use abilities.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
Mines. Oh, no, the mines! Wow, those do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
You're right. Okay.
So we spent, actually, one of the things we were like iterating a lot, and it's actually just recently, I think like 2 days ago, we just made some big changes to it even, but the mines visual and sound and everything, because it's they do so much damage, and it's so important for you to know that they're there. But we get that a lot when we're working on different abilities. Like, okay, you really need to know about this thing. Oh no, you really need to know about this thing. So I sort of don't envy the sound designers. We're constantly telling them, no, you need. This is the most important thing all the time. Like, this is a new most important thing.
Yeah.
So we were working on that particular ult sound, both when he's deploying it and when they're on the ground, but also the visual effects. There's those kind of long spikes now. Oh, that was pretty sick. Oh, he got stunned or something. No, there was a halt. See, that's what I'm saying.
I wanted to swing back and just get away to safety.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, he's paired super well with like Zarya because the ult and stuff. Of course,
and you can shield him when he goes in.
Yeah, it's like Winston or D.Va. Anybody diving in and getting the big shield on him is like a free 40 energy for her practically, and obviously saving him some damage as well.
Yeah. But do you know if you can make the loop underneath King's Row?
I literally don't think I've ever seen anybody try this. You might be the first person to try it.
I'm sorry.
Oh, get it. There it is. Oh, that bug. That was sick though.
Pop the minefield.
Oh, you're going into minefield?
Oh no, it's their minefield.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I got 2 kills with the minefield, but jeez.
Worth. That was worth. So yeah, we're still like, especially, PTR is about bug fixing, but also about getting feedback and everything. So about anything really, but as I was just mentioning, that minefield, we've been iterating a lot just to make sure it's there. You don't want to feel like I didn't even know I was standing in minefield when I died.
Yeah,
so
I know
you should know and just be like, well, I couldn't get out, or I chose to, try to get some damage in before I went down or something.
Oh no, I think I accidentally used a grappling hook before and I missed it.
So it should work like, with a grapple, like you miss entirely, it doesn't cause you to cooldown.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But yeah, there's sometimes you get stunned or something and it'll drop your grapple and then you lose the cooldown. Can you go for it?
I'm doing. I'm getting tries.
I don't even know. That's pretty good.
Oh, no. I can do it.
There's still time.
Wait, it needs to be just properly angled though. Come here.
This is like a new minigame waiting to happen.
He made it!
It's like American Gladiators.
No! That guy made it!
He's just better.
Oh my god. He's so good.
I like he must have just need to go down there. He's like, oh, this is happening.
I'm gonna try this real quick. And he just does it, just leaves me behind. I was like, that was easy, and I just die. Like, oh, sorry, dude.
Oh, there's a combo. Oh, that was good.
There we go.
That was good. Your slams. Oh yeah, that's good too.
Slams off cooldown or on cooldown. You can sort of just keep backing up and trying it. It's kind of cool.
You can also kind of jump in the air, kind of you were doing there, and shoot for a little while, and then still slam. Like if you try to use the abilities that require. Oh, nice. That's also just good. Yeah. If you try to use abilities that require one of the other forms, like you have to be in mech form to use the shield, and you have to be in ball form to use the Piledriver. But if you're not in the right form, it'll just put you in the right form for you. So.
Oh, I was wondering because earlier I think I was normal slamming. I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, yeah. So you can like jump in the air and start shooting from the air, and then slam still if people go underneath you, or Piledriver as well as slam.
You can go through windows so easily. It's honestly a super fun character.
Sweet.
I heard her shatter. Oh
Uh-oh.
no. Oh no.
You shield and pray.
Not good. That's a minefield.
Yeah, that's the problem.
We have a
Zen's got you.
chance. We're good. Oh, Symmetra. So, Hammond / Wrecking Ball is not the only new character that you guys have revamped recently. There's also Symmetra.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, honestly, the game's getting pretty crazy now. We have a rolling hamster ball. We have a character with a teleporter that you could put on like a 10-second cooldown. Are you guys a little bit like worried about how crazy Overwatch is becoming?
I think Overwatch has always been a little crazy.
Oh yeah, I guess it has been.
No, I mean, I don't know. I think it's what's important is that you feel like there are, you know, unique opportunities for every hero and what they can do, what they can bring to your team. And certainly the old that was a great one. The old teleporter, you know, had a lot of that going on, but being able to use the teleporter now as it stands with all kinds of new ways to use it as far as comboing with your team and even just like saving yourself or saving a Zen that's just like caught out of position or something is great.
They just capped. We all left.
That was the C9.
Yep.
I didn't even notice.
Nobody else did either.
That's the problem. Oh man, the classic. Poor C9. Let's see. It's forever named.
Everyone knows it now.
Although, you know, no press is bad press, right? Everyone knows.
I
C9
guess so, huh?
It's transcended.
Transcended.
But yeah, I think Symmetra has been interesting. We've been getting a lot of feedback about her primary fire, feeling like it's pretty difficult to charge up and it's got short range, and
Yeah.
we're keeping a close eye on that. I think there's definitely some validity to that. I think the concern was that it has this insane damage potential, right? So it's like the big thing was to try to keep that feeling where, like, she's always had that she's really scary when she gets ramped up.
She's like a void ray.
Right, right.
She's gonna start ramping up, and you're in trouble.
So even when we were doing a remake, we were like, we want to keep that because that's part of that potential is so exciting, and if you get that off, you get to play the game. You just melt 5 people. It's really cool. So
I noticed when I was playing her.
It was a little hard to tune that, but there's still opportunities to increase that.
She also gets ammo off of shield, so I noticed when I was playing her on PTR, pretty much I just used only the right click unless there was a shield, and then I'd try and charge up off the shield, because I noticed that it took so long to ramp up the damage that a lot of the time you could do just more just spamming right click orbs.
Yeah, I think it's sort of like Mei in a sense, where it's like you use the right click a lot. It's sort of like a longer range or just a primary, but you kind of use the left click whenever you can or whenever you feel like you can get, you know, the opportunity is there for you. So I mean, we're keeping a close eye on her, like I said. I think she's super exciting, and there's a lot more she can do now. She's super flexible.
She's definitely brings a little more, I guess, mobility to the table with teleporter. It's really cool to see, but I just want to know how crazy pro strats are going to get, because they already go down to every small detail, but now it's
you tell me.
I don't want to think about it right now.
Yeah, no, I think that's sort of what's especially exciting about it. And I've already been seeing all kinds of posts and videos and stuff on everywhere online, on Reddit and everywhere, where it's just the craziest plays, you know, teleporting a static diva bomb.
Oh yeah, you guys made it perfect. Teleport. You can teleport abilities now, so you can teleport turrets, gravitons.
You can't teleport projectiles. You can only teleport sort of entities.
Oh, okay.
So it's, you know, you can teleport an exploding diva mech, because it's technically not a projectile or anything, but you know, maybe someday if it's hard to imagine, but maybe someday if the teleporter needs to be more powerful, then, you know, we can think about projectiles. But that's sort of a whole other layer of crazy that's hard for me to wrap my head around exactly what that would do.
It's so fun just to roll around the map. It's crazy.
I'm surprised you could like play this right now and still be able to like talk.
It's actually really hard, because I have to like stop talking sometimes because I'm trying to roll around and I get very confused.
Oh, you got the sleep target. Oh, that was good. See, and that's just great. Oh, except for the sleep. I was gonna say that's just great. You can slam like that, hit your shield, and still get out. But sleep is a problem. Oh, there you go. That's gonna be tough.
Wait, it broke.
I'm not even sure what just happened there.
I think I got CC'd and it broke.
Man, that's what I mean about the sleep dart magnet.
All the sleep darts, all the stuns in the world.
He's got a huge hitbox, so he's got a ton of health, but he's pretty easy to hit. So
go away, Anna. Don't sleep me again.
Some of the big changes this patch, we have some Sombra stuff in here we were kind of working on for a little while, sort of Geoff alluded to in one of the earlier posts. The idea behind the Sombra change, it's supposed to be a buff. Like, she's supposed to be better. I've definitely been reading. Some people think that the offset nerfs are outweigh the buffs.
You mean the permanent invisibility and stuff?
Yeah, yeah. And some people are thinking that it's not really worth the trade-off of losing the ability to contest and things like that. So it's definitely not the intention to make her weaker. We'll keep an eye on it to make sure that she's ultimately better as a result. But
yeah,
in our playtest, she's been able to be a lot more effective, especially communicating with her team and timing the Orisa hack just when her shield's gonna break, so she can't put another one down. You're always in the right position at the right time. Timing your hacks alone is so strong now. I'm hoping that with some PTR time and everything, there'll be time to adjust to the new potential strategies of sort of permanent stealth and what that means.
Yeah.
But if it determines, you just ran right through that. Wow.
Yeah, no fear.
For the Zen Orb too, I think. But yeah, if it ends up being, we feel like she's weaker, or we see that she's weaker, we'll back up the change or something if we need to.
I think the biggest issue with Sombra changes, when everyone hears the words permanent invisibility, they panic. And so they don't really know what that means in an Overwatch context, because honestly, most of the time, when a Sombra is attacking you, she is coming out of invisibility.
Yep.
The vast majority of the time. And so whether that's permanent or not generally isn't going to matter for the other player.
That's exactly what we found in our playtest.
When you hear the words permanent invisibility, you think of rogues from WoW or some sort of ganker from some MMO who's just cloaked, comes over and one-shots you, which isn't exactly what Sombra's about.
Right.
But
well, I mean, she's still got her delay coming out of invisibility, and she's still got not a lot of burst damage, but she's got a huge magazine, so she could do a lot of damage, but not as bursty as like rogues and WoW or something.
Yeah.
So it's kind of exactly what you said, actually. Playtesting, we were sort of like, you know what, let's just go crazy and try permanent visibility just to see what happens. Like, it's easy to just try it. And we're running around, and we get feedback from people playing against her. She's like, I didn't even notice. Like, I don't know, she's doing what she always felt like she was doing. She's behind us, she was opening on us, but as the Sombra player, it was like, oh my god, it was amazing. I didn't have to worry about, I wasn't going to be able to get, like, I had a great position in another second, but then I had to get out because my translator was going to die or my cell was going to wear off or something. So, plus you get into cool areas where you're working on a map, or you're out in front of your flank defense, and you're out in front of your defender's team or whatever, out in front of the place where you're defending, and then all the attackers are coming in and just calling them out. Okay, everyone's going right, but there's like one flanker on the left. You just like straight up call what the enemies are doing, which is really powerful.
More like a scouter roll almost.
Exactly. So that has its own. Oh, now you're gonna pull him right in your mind.
What?
Oh, that's so close.
He went Oh yeah, because of the tech that makes it so they can't move in the air. Even if he's charging, he gets stopped in the air.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense.
Just for that window. That's a cool combo. Like, being able to pull them in your mines. It's tricky sometimes to get that, but like you can also just drop your mines from really high up and then slam right away.
Yeah.
Or Piledriver right away, and you'll pull people into them, and they're not armed yet. They have like a 1.5 second arming time.
I noticed that, but it was a little bit hard. I felt like if there was a Zarya ult, I wanted to do it as fast as possible because otherwise they could potentially get out.
Yeah. Totally. And they don't literally one-shot everybody, so like a Zen ult is still really strong at countering it. Oh. It's a problem. It's worth. Don't get slept. Ana and Mei terrify me playing him. It's just like the sleep
it's
and
really
slow
scary.
Just...
I mean, Doomfist too, because he can just punch me every time I come down and I get CC'd. I'm pretty sure they're actually like strategizing, because this is a custom pre-made game. Everyone's like strategizing with ideas and stuff, and I'm just sitting here just rolling around as a hamster. I have no idea what's going on. I'm just rolling around, no care in the world. Wait.
That's a problem. You live technically with 5 health.
I guess so.
Really briefly. There's a few little bugs I've seen. Like, we had a few bugs and we were like, well, we might get to PTR still. We can definitely fix them. There's a couple animation issues. I've seen, like, when you get frozen, and we have a couple mate changes in here with the fall off, so you get frozen, he gets into like a weird anim state where he's not in the ball correctly.
Oh yeah.
And I was turning on a stream, I was like, oh, let's see what people are doing. Like, that's the first thing I see. Oh, that's the bug right there.
Oh yeah.
It also happens when Doofus punches you. So now this is a weird bug. You're actually in ball mode.
Yeah,
your animation, it looks like you're not. So that's on our high priority list to fix. Obviously, he won't go out the door like that.
Have touch cart?
There you go. You got this.
We can drop mines here.
Drop them a little in front. That works too. Oh, because it's moving back. That's good.
They have to touch cart, so we're good.
except for Wrecking Ball over the back. They last, oh god, I don't want to get this wrong. I think it's either 15 seconds or I think it's 20 seconds actually. They last really long. Because the idea is more like you can use damage abilities to clear them. You don't typically wait them out, and if you are waiting them out, it's getting its own power essentially by denying the area
it's
for that long.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Orisa's ult is the same thing. It's like it's killable, so that's the main counter. That's why they last so long. That's good. Yeah, towards that. Oh, hit back up.
He got healed by Ana.
Zen is another one who's really good against him. Obviously, I mentioned you can use the ult to clear the mines, but also just getting discorded when you're running around on their team is really bad because he's all about just having this huge health pool, and discord's really bad for that. Good against it, I guess.
You really do have a crap ton of HP when you drop.
Oh god, yeah. It's like a hilarious. Oh, that was a good try. That was a good try.
What if I can escape this?
You can always escape your Wrecking Ball.
Oh!
Except when you do that.
We're good, we're good. You can actually knock them back towards your team really easily. I feel like that's going to be the real power of Wrecking Ball.
That's good. You're going to let a health. Oh, look at your health bar.
It's insane how much health you get just by going in like this.
It lasts for 7 seconds too, so you typically can actually use the whole health. Oh, that's good if you can get that.
Oh, but I went in too early because I didn't have my shield up.
Oh,
because they're not the same cooldown times.
No, not
so you have to wait a few seconds before you go back in.
Yeah, he was a little too hard to kill when you could throw that thing off like just on a crazy low cooldown. It was just like, how can I? It's like small windows of time I can ever hurt him.
So another hero you guys have been recently talking about is Torbjorn. Is there any updates other than apparently he is in flux?
That's a good way to put it. He originally started as like, let's just try some minor things, see where they take us. But that kind of eventually changed to just like, well, let's just try crazier things and see what happens. Because
what are some of the crazier things?
So we're trying. Let's see. God, we tried all kinds of stuff.
Give me some ideas.
Some details. Some of the stuff we've been trying is the turret is kind of thrown now, but not. It's more like Tracer ult thrown. It's not like you're hugging it across the map. It's just kind of tossed in front of you, which is surprising. He almost saved you.
Oh my god, it was so close.
The turret throwing thing is actually surprisingly useful. It's very quick to deploy now. You can kind of throw on top of boxes or somewhere a little above you, or just drop it down below you a lot easier. We're trying lots of different stuff with the turrets. Like nothing solidified yet. Some of the ideas we tried. The turret levels up as it gets kills, automatically leveling it to 2. They don't have to hit it anymore.
I like that.
That's pretty cool. We were working with that for a while. I think that's still in there right now.
That one is really nice.
Yeah. So, and then we're trying all kinds of crazy abilities. Like, what if we had a mini molten core as his E, or what if we, his ult was something different, and
Honestly, I think my biggest problem with Torbjorn is just his head is so big.
that's her buff. Just shrink the head.
Yeah, I'm serious though. If you look, you guys did it to Winston, Diva, and I think one other character where you made their head hitbox smaller.
Yeah.
If you did that to Torbjorn, he would be so much better as a character.
Yeah, actually look at that.
It's very, very small.
Yeah.
But it makes a lot of difference because
we're trying to the two biggest things we're trying to hit up are trying to make it more viable on offense. Technically, we don't even have a defense category anymore, but that doesn't necessarily mean he needs to be as powerful on offense or defense, but he needs to be more viable. Yeah. So that's kind of a lot of where we get with the turret leveling, and you can throw it, and it's faster deploy and stuff like that, so you can get it out there more. Trying to get something like that in there. What was the other thing? Oh, I don't know. That's kind of the main thing is keeping the kit there, though. We still got a turret. We're not gonna ditch the turret. He's not gonna have a turret.
You want to keep the core of the same character. You don't want to.
So it's like, how do we get that feel of this character who's still strong on defense, but is more viable on offense and has more options and better comps and stuff. So,
just from playing him, I strongly feel that his head is a little too big.
Yeah.
And so, if I get shot, it's always a headshot. Because it's just his head is so gigantic, his hitbox, and his left click is really, really strong, and his right click, if you made it take just slightly less ammo, I think that would be really good.
That's interesting.
Because that way, I noticed that whenever a Torbjorn reloads, it takes about 10 years, give or
roughly.
take. Yeah. So when I'm playing Torbjorn, for example, it's really often, and you see it all the time in regular play too. If he pops Molten Core and he has to reload, you're fine.
We've changed that a little bit too. So much like Soldier 76, when he's using Molten Core right now, at least internally, it's much faster reload.
Yeah.
So for the same reason, it's like I'm using this ability, I'm shooting all the time, and I have to reload. I'm just killing my old time. So that's been pretty huge too.
Well, this map must be insane for Wrecking Ball.
That said, we don't really have like, if we had something we were super stoked on and ready to go with Torbjorn, we already probably have him on PTR. We'd be more willing to talk about all the details, but we're still heavily in flux, trying all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So what originally started as like, this is gonna be really, really minor. Still might be. It might be a little more major. I don't know yet now. We'll have to see. We're just playing with different stuff. We just wanted to feel really cool and viable and in more areas and.
Kind of similar to what you guys are doing with Symmetra, trying to make her more viable all around.
Exactly.
Chat, do you have any questions, chat?
Yeah, hit me.
He's ready, chat. Help him out.
Pick him up.
Everyone is spamming Ana.
Ana, right, Ana. Ana's pretty tricky. There was a time not terribly long ago. This also happened with Lucio, by the way, where the comments were, her kit is so good that she'll always be played. Like, it doesn't matter, like, because there were nerfs back when she was played all the time, back when her ult gave speed boosts and everything. Lucio was the same thing. Lucio gives speed boosts, like, he will always be played. It's like, now we're in a situation where, you know, maybe her kit's not good enough, or she doesn't have enough power to make up for her deficiencies, because she's always had these no mobility problems. She has problems self-healing, and it's not necessarily about like let's give her some mobility or let's give her self-healing because that will solve her deficiencies. It's more about making sure that her capabilities outweigh that. So it's worth having her, despite having her have low mobility, maybe she's more protection because we gain this extra power that's worth it. You know, we get her bio grenade is still extremely
one of the
strong.
Strongest abilities in the game. Yeah.
It's like healing is so strong in the game that being able to negate their healing at all is so good. Oh, this is gonna be good. He didn't quite make it out of the barrier.
Oh, poor guy.
I agree with the sentiment. We are trying some stuff, but it's not likely to result in like a bunch of mobility to her or something like that. We want to keep a lot of the core of the character intact.
One of the, I would say, like common themes since release Overwatch to now has been constantly that healers have actually become stronger and stronger at healing.
Yeah.
And so when Ana was in the game, well, I don't mean that way. When Ana was played all the time, when she was played constantly, that was with old Zen Harmony Orb, which I think was 25 HPS. And that was also with the old Mercy, who had, I believe, only maybe 30 HPS on her left click.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think
it was significantly less. Yeah. And so basically you end up with all these support characters that also, I think the Zen right click became more accurate, Discord was faster. Basically, all the supports have been consistently buffed, while Ana has such a strong kit, I feel like you guys are afraid to change her. Because if you give her just a slight buff too much, suddenly every game's going to have Ana, because she is really, really strong, and she is very, very fun. And that's why a lot of people miss her from the meta.
Yeah. And yeah, that's good. That's good way to put it. I think we're still looking at ways to help her out, and that's where sort of the changes last patch came from. Try to get her. I guess there's 2 patches coming out. Depends where we are exactly.
Yeah, I noticed you guys did the you can shoot through your allies. Teammates.
That was one we've talked about for a long time actually, and the concern was always, you know, there's a viable strategy to shooting a full health teammate. Yes. So especially, you know, if you have an allied Pharah ulting or something like that, you know she's about to get lit up, so you start healing her early. So there's a little bit of a cost to that change, but we started playtesting it and we're like, you know, that cost does exist. It kind of sucks a little bit, but ultimately it's just way better in more situations, like more commonly. That's a pretty good one. Oh, if I get everybody. See, he just jumped out of it because he does not stun, so
he can just leave. But I did notice actually some high-level Ana players complaining about that change for that exact reason that you were describing.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's maybe a world where you revert that and come up with some better solution or something. But right now, it's definitely better to have that than to not have it, even despite the sort of one downside to it where the free healing doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think Ana is in nearly a situation that's like rework territory or anything like that.
No,
she's really good. And like we were just saying, her kit's really strong, so...
I feel like everyone loves the character, and she is definitely more viable than people think. Yeah. And what really just comes down to is Mercy is easier to play.
Yeah.
So...
if you just want the raw healing throughput, it's kind of hard.
Raw healing throughput with survivability and this true. What? Okay, I'm dropping mines.
That's mean. That's just mean. that was personal. That was a personal attack.
Oh, that poor guy. Poor Emong. I just think, kind of, how do I put it? Okay, I lost my train of thought. Chat, it's your turn now.
All right, let's see what else we got.
Oh, this was what I was going to talk about, was you guys, on this same PTR patch, have now buffed the long-range damage of May, Bastion, Soldier, and McCree.
Yeah, so we sort of did a systemic change to the fall off formula, I guess. I mean, it's not actually a single formula. We do tune it per weapon, but typically weapons that had fall off would fall off all the way down to 30%, so that you'd only be doing 30% of your normal damage at max range. We just changed that cap down to up to 50%, so you're doing more damage at max range now. Okay. It helps especially for characters like McCree, even Soldier 7600, although his fall off range was a lot higher, so it's harder to hit the actual max range, but it still affects him as well. There's a lot of opportunities or times where you are hitting a target that's really far away, and it was just sort of so punishing that it was sort of like, is this even worth shooting at this point? Am I just like, especially compared to the heal amount that they're getting, it's like especially like far up in the air on some of these maps with a really high.
She's gonna be at the skybox. Yeah.
Skybox. So it's like even if I'm playing McCree or something like that, I was like, I'm not even hurting. Like this is like wasting my time. So some of that's cool. We do want the fall off to matter, but so we're just basically reducing the impact of fall off a little bit. So yeah, it'll help in those situations.
So in general, that seems like a change aimed at Pharah sitting in the sky really far away, and probably Widowmaker.
Yeah, and Widow at super long ranges as well.
Widowmaker is a big one for Overwatch League players.
Yeah, and we're trying something with this too. We put May's Ultimate Fire, so we took the fall off that again.
That's going to be interesting.
Which existed for a time. There was a while where she didn't have it, and she was really strong in certain situations. You're playing Widow and you just get headshot and you're almost dead from across the map, and so that may not stay. We're just throwing this PTR to see what that feels like with the rest of these Fallout changes. That was pretty good. Oh, you bounced her out, I think, unfortunately.
No, she's
dead anyway.
She's a goner.
Yeah, it didn't matter. So that one may not stay. I think it's just an opportunity for us to try it again in this sort of new game. Essentially, it was from where she last had it. Everything's different now. So.
Yeah, got at least 4 or 5 new heroes at this point. Yeah. Lots of balance patches. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I like May.
Yeah, May's great. I think if Wrecking Ball ends up really, really strong, May will end up stronger as a result because she's a really good counter to him. There's also stuff you can do, like you can drop her wall on his minefield, and it will actually like blow up mines because they go off on the wall.
Yeah.
So they hurt the wall, but it's like you don't care because you just.
Can I lift up mines of my friendly?
No, you can't. They're like absorbed in there.
Yeah. Okay. One more question. Okay. Chat, you guys get one more question, then he has to go.
Yes.
I'm sorry, chat. One more question.
Man, that's scrolling by real fast.
That's scrolling by real fast.
Let's see. Nerf Mercy. I don't know about that. I think you have to fight all the other people on the internet versus see who wins.
There's a lot of Ryan questions.
Ryan. Okay, yeah, we can talk about Ryan. It's a great thing. So, the biggest thing we've been focusing on Ryan, and I think we've said this before, and it's going to sound maybe redundant or whatever, is you're trying to get Earthshatter to be really consistent and fix all the bugs with it. We first tried it like a couple patches ago. The fix we had didn't really work like we wanted it to, and then we had a much better solution. The most recent patch, we thought we were going to get in there, but it ended up being really costly on the server because we were doing like all these checks, crawling on the ground, and we couldn't find a way to make it performant enough to actually get in. So we are like very actively working on Earthshatter, and even though the performance isn't there yet, with the playtest we've had with it, it's so much nicer because it works very consistently like you expect. It doesn't. There's no issues anymore and things like that. So. Unfortunately, we can't get it in this patch. We were hoping to get it in this patch. It didn't quite make it. So it's likely, very, very likely to be in the next patch. So that's like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Because before we can even think about like tweaking him and buffing him, we need to get this thing like very properly working consistently every time.
Because there's actually, I would say, 3 things to Reinhardt that are weird. The first one is Earthshatter.
Yeah.
The second one is Charge.
Yeah.
And then the third one, which not a lot of people talk about, is I feel that his general hammer swing knockback has become much, much stronger than it was at release Overwatch. And so a lot of the time what I see happening is Reinhardt versus Reinhardt. In Overwatch League this happens constantly, where if you predict that he's going to swing, you can jump and go flying and get out of melee range and escape from the other Reinhardt by jumping at a proper timing.
I've never heard of that.
And so it's also a pretty... Oh, I feel bad for my team. It happens regularly for lots of heroes, and I feel like it's this like... people don't notice it as much, but it definitely exists for high-level Reinhardt players.
Interesting.
But, yeah, I would say he seems like a character that if everything's working really, really well, he's very, very strong.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, people like an Earth Shatter won't go off because maybe crazy stuff happens. Like I've had Earth Shatters not go off because you step behind a lamppost for just a split second as you walk by, and so that's the stuff they remember the most.
And there's some concern over Wrecking Ball being added, and we have more knockbacks now, and Reinhardt's like pretty vulnerable to knockbacks.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to stay in this very specific spot, and he's getting knocked around. We'll have to see how that goes. There's certainly a world where we could give him some knockback reduction or something when he has a shield out. I don't know if I'm ready to quite pull that trigger yet.
I gotta say, it does feel a little bit weird that if a Brigitte can stun a Reinhardt charge, and it's not like both counter pin, both fall to the ground, she just gets stunned.
Yeah, so that is not really intended exactly. The other thing we're gonna do with Reinhardt as far as like a big systemic change, we're trying to it's not really just Reinhardt specific, but anytime we have charging characters colliding with each other, it's pretty inconsistent right now. Like a Doomfist punching on the Doomfist, or punching Reinhardt is charging, or Brigitte, shield bashing somebody. It's kind of not really random, but it's wild right now.
Yeah.
We want to like make that really consistent, and it should be knocking down both players in those cases. Maybe for Brigitte's case, we could talk about one just winning over the other. It's not quite, it's kind of a charge. It's like a really short duration charge, so I don't know if it quite fits the same thing, but. That's going to be part of probably next patch as well, trying to get that working consistently as well. So, I mean, none of these are like huge, like outright buffs, like Fire Strike, twice as much damage or something like that, but they are pretty significant changes. So, I think people are pretty excited about those. And then we'll reevaluate and make sure he's still viable. And if the knockbacks are too strong, then maybe there's something we could do there as well.
Okay.
But we're definitely hearing the concerns, and I've seen all the same videos that everybody else has about, Brigitte and Doomfist knocking you around. You can never hit the ground, and it's craziness. So we're keeping an eye on that. It looks like Scott's here though, so I think I'm tagging out the baton.
You away
the baton toss. That's right. Well, Scott's got a lot of cool stuff to say too, so we'll just consider it a pass the baton. Thanks, guys.
We'll chat.
Have fun. Get on PTR. Give us feedback. I love it. We love reading everything, even if it's bad.
Come to PTR chat. Come play Wrecking Ball, aka Hammond, aka Wrecking Ball.
Definitely play it as well as read it. I get a lot of like comments like, "This is what I read and it seems scary." Like, just give it a chance. Give me like one game, and then it helps with the feedback quite a bit. So.
But thank you for coming by.
Thanks
I appreciate it.
Thanks for being here. This is cool.
It's fun being local. I can just drop by.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Okay, this is the best spot ever right now.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is great.
Especially, you could come right there. Oh, shoot him. Oh,
it's so close.
All right, take it easy, guys. See ya.
See ya. Chat, I'm gonna do this all day. Here we go. So chat, that was Geoff Goodman. I forget his exact job description, but he handles a lot of balance stuff, I think. He has a lot of stuff to say. And now we're getting Scott Mercer.
No one can hide.
He's coming in.
Hello, chat.
He's here.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Scott.
Hello, Seagull.
How's your day been?
It's been pretty awesome seeing the internet do what it does on the announcement of there being a hamster in a large mech.
You guys put a hamster in a ball in Overwatch.
And he swings around and he destroys everyone.
And he just knocks around,
cool.
he just knocks people around, and he drops from the sky, does a lot of damage. He's got some cool abilities.
Yeah, he's just a tremendous amount of fun. It really is. It's one of those things where the entire team really did just so much awesome work, from the animations to the models to the sounds. I know on PTR you guys aren't seeing like all the plays of the game and that kind of stuff, but like those are just amazing too. So there's some really funny stuff. So something to look forward to.
Yeah. So wait, I have a question. You guys recently changed how these types of heroes go to release on ranked and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So what exactly is the new like launch schedule for that?
2 weeks after release. That's where we're.
So does that mean 2 weeks from now he's in ranked, or is that 2 weeks from when he gets put onto the live
real
server?
patch? Yes,
gotcha,
on the live server.
Gotcha. Okay,
right.
Makes sense. So 2 weeks from when he goes to the live patch, he'll be available in ranked. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what we basically did with Symmetra. For Symmetra, so much has changed about her. Like pretty much everything.
A new hero.
Yeah. So made the call there. It's like treat her like a new hero. So she's delayed 2
Speaking of
weeks
Symmetra,
from
I have not given her a
1.5.
shot, so I'm gonna give her a shot.
Oh wow. Okay. Exciting times.
Exciting times.
Now there's expectations. Your team would be like, "Where are you gonna put the teleporter? Where are you gonna put the teleporter?"
They're looking at me right now. He's ready. He's ready for it. He's like, come on.
Also means someone else gets to play Wrecking Ball. So
It's a big teleporter, guys. It's huge.
yeah, there's definitely gonna be a little bit of learning curve. Like I played some quick play with.
Big learning curve behind those teleporters.
Yeah,
For sure. Thanks, Scott.
I know. I'm personally excited. I know like a lot of the team is like really seeing, at the professional level what happens with her. She's not going to be available in the OWL playoffs.
So which patch is being played in the OWL playoffs? Just the one before this one, so the Hanzo one?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's going to be exciting to see Libero play Hanzo.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yes, the Hanzos will be out in full force for sure.
All right, chat, ask questions. Sorry, I got distracted by playing
Yeah,
Symmetra.
yeah,
And
I
it's
see
almost,
this question,
it's
but
almost
it's
overtime,
new,
and I'm
yeah.
sitting here just like, oh my god, we're actually doing it.
Wait, has it been 4? It hasn't been 4 minutes, has it?
4 minutes? No, this is the second offense.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. I came in the middle of a match. I'm like all confused.
Very
so
confused.
Crazy stuff. So,
Let's see. Goodman talked a little bit about Torb.
Sure.
Talked a little bit about Reinhardt.
yeah.
We talked about, honestly, so many things.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, obviously he's the best person to talk about the heroes because he's, the primary designer to work on all that stuff. So, the kind of
Makes
stuff
sense.
I've helped working on is competitive play. So which, I know right now we're really concentrating on Wrecking Ball and all the stuff that come out with 126. There's a host of hero changes. I mean, I don't know if you'd like to talk with Geoff about some of the changes to the fall off.
Yeah, we did talk a little bit about that.
So there's the host of I think really awesome hero stuff, but just earlier this week we had Looking for Group, which is
Yeah, that's
been
what I
working-
want to talk to you about was most of the rank system stuff that you guys have been changing. So the first one would be we can now endorse our teammates.
Yes.
Which is really fun.
Yeah.
It's actually so funny because the moment you give someone something to play for that is just like a, one sec, big fight.
Yeah.
Something to play for that rewards good behavior, everyone is on their best behavior all the time, last few rank games. It's so funny.
And that's really what we really want to see. I mean, there's been some
Yeah.
concerns, people talking about it, it's all fake or whatever. It's okay, you can fake being cool.
You want to fake being nice to me? Okay, I'm okay
sure.
with that.
End result is you're being nice. So, I mean, that's been really great to see. The reaction to that, we've gotten just huge. I mean, people talking about how just the games just feel like people aren't yelling at each other just so much.
Yeah, I noticed that in the last day of ranked, which is traditionally probably the meanest day to play ranked.
It's kind of a crazy time.
It's the day of crushed
Yeah.
expectations, a day of disappointment.
Yeah.
And people are actually kind of nice.
And we'll see if that. Hopefully, we want that to continue to roll on to the next season and seasons past that.
Well, I think just when you stop getting people into random solo queue games and you put them into groups,
Yeah.
people are instantly nicer.
Well, I think when you're just throwing random together by the matchmaker, I think there's a lot of people naturally assume the worst about their teammates.
Yeah.
But when you actually go ahead and make a group through LFG or because you're doing it with friends or whatever, you don't assume the worst, you actually assume the best. It's
You try and work with them.
Well, it's if that person made if someone makes a bad play, and that happens all the time, no one is perfectly playing Overwatch all the time. It's you don't immediately assume that it's this person is horrible and why are they are they boosted or why are they in this particular rank and so forth. It's just it's hey, you made a bad play, let's try to pick it up for the next team fight, right? I mean, it's really it helps just overall change the mood, the psychology, and it's just a way more positive place.
I think it's just that combined with the private profiles. And a lot of people don't like that, but I'm one of the few people who actually really like that. So
yeah, I mean, we've noted all the feedback about that. I mean, I think what you're really seeing with the private profiles, with LFG, with endorsements, it's a very intentional sort of package put together to try to create a much more positive vibe, and also giving players a bit more control over how they play Overwatch. So, I mean, LFG is great for that. There are so many ridiculous amount of options that are within LFG. I'm
I exploded.
Yeah.
I forgot my teleporter was not down. I was ready to run away.
There's so many options for not, if it's like if you want to make a group, if you want to have like that kind of control over like who you want to group with, if you're just someone that's like looking for an already existing group like through the list, like the list tries to be smart about sorting for like putting groups at the top that are like near your skill rating, that are near your like ping, so it tries to put people.
Yeah.
So it tries to be smart about that kind of thing, but it's just there's like so many options, and we're even like and even with the immediate feedback that we've gotten from like PTR and like even for a couple of days, we've already got some changes to the LFG that are like some of those are even on this PTR here. Just like little things. Well, just like little things. Like it was pretty cool because like yesterday, like one of our tech artists came by and like had some feedback, and one of the things was like, hey, I was like looking for a group and I tried all these filters, but the filters weren't saving, so every time I went back I had to redo them.
Oh,
and like
it's quality of life stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's just like things just like, hey, let's make this like a really awesome, like easy to use thing, so it doesn't feel like a barrier to finding a great play experience. That's really what a lot of like LFG is about. Like we want to make that like as easy as possible, something you could like quickly. And there you go.
That was so close.
Yeah.
I made a cool play with the teleport. I was so excited.
And this, folks, is why it's a test ROM.
This is why we have the test server chat.
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, LFG endorsements.
You guys also added, what was it? SMS Protect the top 500, so we can't have 20 alt accounts in the top 500. Thanks, Calvin.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, there was definitely some people that had like multiple accounts up there. It wasn't. We actually like looked at it, and it wasn't as bad as people thought it was. I mean, there's some people who were like, it's like half the like top 500 is Smurfs, and it wasn't anywhere near half. But
yeah.
We definitely know it was up there. But something to remember, and trying to make this like super clear, is you need to put SMS Protect on before you start playing. Really, if you like think you're going to get in the top 500, put SMS Protect early, because only the games that have SMS Protect on count towards that 50 minimum.
Oh, that's an interesting way of putting it. So, in other words, I need to have 50 games played with SMS Protect enabled to be counted onto the leaderboard.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's not something where like at the very end, it's like, all right, I think I've got the rating for top 500, then I'll turn SMS Protect on, and people will be like, wait, I'm not in the top 500. Well, it's because you need to have the SMS Protect on before that.
Yeah.
So, word of warning.
So have you guys, I mean, LFG was only on for a couple of days in ranked. I think Geoff posted on the forum something like 160 groups were being created per minute or something like that on average.
Yeah, that was like the first day. I mean, we've definitely been like trying to track like just how much people are using it. The way, are there settings that people seem to be using more than others? I mean, there's just a lot of things we've like sort of like looking at, just trying to like make appropriate decisions about how to improve the system. Are there things that people, just like whenever you put in a system like that, and it's kind of the same thing with endorsements. Like we kind of we hope that like things are going to like, oh, it's going to be very popular and it's going to go super well, but you never really know.
Yeah.
Right. But like, so that's why seeing even immediately people like using it so much, and I think it's like really cool. Like if you actually go into the system, our features team who developed the system does a great job of like the system feels alive in the sense of like you see groups being formed, them getting filled up, and there's like actual communication. There's actual like notifications that they're being filled up. You actually see the process of the groups being formed and heading off to play. You get to see each person join individually.
I remember
it feels like this really like sort of active like train station, like people coming in, like hopping on a train. And you see the train, trains like, hey, like we're about to leave, like them leaving and so forth. So, and I think that's one of the things that people want to be able to go into LFG and know that it's like, hey, it's popular enough and it's being used enough that I can go and find a game there. So,
yeah. I noticed that there were a lot of posts in the forums being like, why do I not see that many groups and things like that? But then I think Geoff posted on the forums afterwards like, oh, well, we actually don't show you all the groups at once because there's just that many or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where I think the smart filtering sort of comes in, trying to make it so where like we want to provide you with what we think will be the best groups for you up at the top of the list. And then if you're like looking for something crazy, or if you're like looking for something really specific, again, it's so flexible that you can actually, I mean, we've got people with like not just finding comp games, but finding arcade games. You can like look for, it's like, hey,
anything you want, because you can dictate the experience that you want to have.
Exactly. Which again, that's all these things is sort of like, that's one of the big like themes. It's like, hey, giving you a bit more power about like how you experience Overwatch.
Yeah, I noticed that when, there's actually, I saw a couple groups the other day when I was starting to do my last games of the season. Some of them were just, like, honestly, one tricks. And they were just like, I want a group that is okay with using a one trick. And a lot of people don't want that, but there's actually some people who do want to play with the Torb, and that's okay. And they can go play with the Torb if they want.
If there's some really insanely good Torb one tricks out there that, they can provide a lot to the team, but, it's even better if the team works with them.
Yeah.
And doesn't immediately like, oh, it's a Torb one trick. All right, well, they're clearly throwing, and now I'm not going to take this game seriously and so forth. But yeah, if you can make a group in LFG that like wants you can play with them, it can be super effective.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, I always looked at it as, I think I've said this on stream a couple of times now, where like Overwatch was always, in my eyes, meant to be played with your friends. And so
yeah,
it's always rough to play with random strangers in solo queue, because when it's such a team-based game and the teamwork isn't there, it becomes very frustrating very quickly because people turn on each other. But when you're playing with each other as a group, people don't do that, and they try and work together, and the game is instantly better.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things of last week I made a post on the forums really trying to just, there are a lot of like misconceptions about like how we treat groups. So like, are they a good thing or are they a bad thing? And no, it's like groups are amazing. Like for all those like reasons you just talked about, and also it's just there's like we don't penalize you, from a matchmaking perspective. Like there's find people that you would like to play with, and when you play with them, it's just so much better experience. And that was a big point of that like post was again, hey. If you play with a group, it's just you can interact with people. They'll treat you more positively. You can work together in ways that you might not otherwise. You'll like it encourages communication, so you can talk about specific strats. You can try like comps, whether or not it's something with a with a Torbjorn, or if it's like you want to try like crazy 3 tank 3 support. Team comps that we've seen out there. It just allows and enables all those kinds of things, which is just amazing.
I think we've talked about looking for a group for a while now.
Because it's like, playing Overwatch, Overwatch is a team game. Playing in a group where you all like, are working together. Oh my, you just got boosted. Oh, this is bad.
It's bad.
This is.
I need to get health. We're good.
I thought it was bad for the other guy because it's like you got boosted and you're like super powered now.
He has.
Sorry, but he's a very angry monkey. Goodbye. Anyway, yes, we're talking about LFG, so endorsements. Yeah, endorsements were pretty I don't know, were super rad.
It's been cool because people meme about it like endorse for endorse, and stuff like that. And it gets really funny. But for the most part, people actually do try to be nicer.
Yeah, I mean, and then it's just amazing. We have one of the things that, we've been working on over the last multitude of months. It's just like you think about like improvements to player reporting, providing like the in-game messages that indicate that it's like, hey, that report you gave, it actually resulted in someone being actioned.
Giving feedback,
giving warnings to people who have been acting, saying it's like, hey, it's like I don't know if you know it, but you're acting pretty aggressively, and maybe you like might want to think about it, before any kind of real like penalty like comes in. And we do see some people that's like they don't even realize, like sometimes, again, because sometimes you just have a bad day, and like you lash out and you don't think, most people who might say or do like negative things in Overwatch, I mean, they're not like that in the real world. So providing feedback, increasing the trust people have in the system means that people will actually report more when things actually do happen. They think it's like, hey, this report actually means something, so I should report. And then there's this kind of virtuous cycle of more high quality reports mean that we're able to act on instances of negative behavior sooner. We act on the instances of negative behavior.
It just cleans up the game.
We try to like correct the behavior. Like we're not out to ban people. We're out to like let you know it's like, hey, you're not acting in a way that the community approves of, right? So maybe you should think about I'm playing in a different way. And it's been like kind of cool because like we occasionally see Reddit posts, we occasionally see Twitter like stuff where it's like, hey, they had people realize that finally realize that hey, the things we're saying wasn't really that cool, and they should change, and that's been like that's the kind of thing we want to see. Like I said, we're trying to change the negativity into like positivity, because in the end, Overwatch is a game, you're trying to have fun.
Yeah, everyone plays the game to have fun, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I understand.
So,
chat, do you have any questions for Scott Mercer? I know we've gone over a lot of topics. There's a lot of people spamming colorblind mode and Genji so far.
We are working on more colorblind features.
Ooh, so colorblind, if you're out there, that was for you.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely multiple people on the team that are actually colorblind, and it's a big deal to them, and we've been hearing all your feedback. The trick with like colorblind, like there's not just one form of colorblindness, so it's like you have to, it's something you have to like constantly iterate on.
Yeah.
Get people in to give you feedback that have like different types. But it's something that we definitely are continuing to work on. Oh no.
I actually tried to drop the TP in the air to see if it would work, but
yeah, I don't know when like those little some of those features might like improved features might like eventually hit PTR or live game, but it's something like we have meetings in the morning where we talk about like everyone working, what all the various teams are working on, and yesterday I heard it's like, we're working on colorblind features. I'm like, oh cool. So there you go.
Okay. Well, chat, we're relying on you here. Give me questions. You can ask anything, chat. I did see some questions, and I guess this would be up your alley a little bit more, about guild or like clan systems.
Something we're definitely very interested in.
Okay.
And I think it'd be an awesome addition to the game. So we'll see what we do in the future with that.
Oh my god, Symmetra is so good at these chokes, it's insane.
Yeah, that barrier is a sneaky strong ability that I think like it's going to take a little bit of time for people to really understand just how to use it, because it's definitely another one of these abilities that like it alone doesn't win you a fight. Like your team has to know how to play around it.
Yeah.
But as people like understand, as people, not just the Symmetras, but as everyone else learns.
You know how Winston's juggle around Winston shields? That's pretty much what your whole team is going to do with this game.
Sure. And yeah, initially they're not used to it, but they'll figure it out. And same thing with like another minefield.
Minefield's crazy.
Minefield's crazy. Like people need to figure out how to counter it, and it's something where it's like, hey, you shoot mines, and there's some like abilities out there that would be really good at clearing away the entire minefield because they're doing big AOE damage. So yeah, I'm excited about it.
So what character are you most excited for going into ranked this next season?
Oh wow, most excited about? I mean, I hate to say this, but I mean it is kind of Wrecking Ball. I mean he's just he's like another mobility tank.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of people were like super excited for. He brings such unique like sort of like features to the game, and he's just so much fun to play.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, that was just something like even like we're testing. It's like once we got like the grappling hook like up and running, and we're running around test maps and then running around our other maps like grappling hook and finding different ways to like work around, and just the sheer sense of the speed of it. It's just a blast to play.
I just get worried about having so much mobility, tanks, and damage in the game all at the same time. Luckily, Brigida's in the game now to stop a lot of the dive, because I think if you put Wrecking Ball in before Brigida, that would have been scary.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. I think also, I mean, once you get like both Symmetra and, I mean, Symmetra also, I mean, the right click is very long range because it feels like rockets, but I mean, she has that potential for a lot of like short range left click damage as well.
Yeah.
I know Geoff was talking about that a little bit earlier about we want that to feel like pretty strong in the right circumstances. So.
Mm-hmm. So is Symmetra just expected to be playing with like tank-based slow compositions to use the teleporter as much as possible? Or?
I think that'll probably be the first thing people try.
Yeah.
They'll leverage like the other strengths of Symmetra. It's like, hey, if someone tries to come in super close to that kind of like generally short range death volley kind of comp, then like the left click becomes potentially pretty good. But I mean, the great thing is that like the teleporter is useful for all kinds of comps. Extra mobility is good for everyone, not just people that didn't have much in the first place. So
yeah, it's true.
I mean, we saw a lot of that. Like I remember, like with May, I mean, there was a lot of that clever stuff done in Apex where people were like,
Oh, yeah.
like ice walling,
Meta
like up
Athena
around.
walls.
Yeah. So I think we're going to see a lot of that, or at least I'm hoping we'll see a lot of those kinds of like really clever ways of just attacks. And not just like before, because you're like already see on Dorado where like there's a pretty long flanks on point A, whether it's Pharah or Hanzo or Widowmaker. But, it's like, oh, is it now the entire team? I mean, yeah, it's like...
As time goes on, I get a little bit concerned about mobility creep in Overwatch because I feel like every single character you guys put in has more and more mobility, and old characters like McCree and stuff kind of get left behind.
Well, that's one of the reasons I think you're seeing the fall off change.
Yeah.
I mean, the meta like recently has been like pretty, very like tank, Brigitte dominated, and then snipers.
Yeah. Lots of double snipers.
Right, and that like there's a whole big area between that in terms of like distance that the McCrees, the 76s, all those kind of characters that were really supposed to dominate a bit more like as a more mid-range focused character. So I mean, I think that's one of the hopes of that. So there's a lot of things going on at once. We'll have to see. I mean, especially I know that like the OWL like in playoffs are going to play like a 1-2-5, which is the Hanzo one, but we'll see.
You guys get
especially
to
like
see...
a World Cup. World Cup's going to have a lot of this stuff.
Oh wait, what patch is the World Cup qualifiers going to be?
I don't remember. It depends upon when exactly it is. Because they're on different times. I believe they're playing on this one, but don't hold me to that. But then the finals are like even later, so we'll have to see what else we like cook up for them for the patch after this. So.
Yeah.
And certainly I think we'll be reacting to everything that's happening on 126 on live and make adjustments. So, but yeah, World Cup will be pretty crazy.
I just want to see. We were joking about this. I remember people were talking about the Team USA tryouts. They're like, okay, who's going to be the best Symmetra player come BlizzCon? People were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, someone's gonna have to put in a lot of work. I mean, there's definitely.
It's actually gonna take a crap ton of skill. People joked about Symmetra being a really easy play, but now she's pretty tough.
There's just. I mean, I think everyone that's on OML has like a very awesome knowledge about all the maps. So I mean, I think they're already like. A lot of what you think about like Symmetra is just having map knowledge about like where to place teleporters, where you can move, flanking routes, how do teams move around the map. So I think they're already in pretty good position for that. But questions like, well, where's the best place to put these turrets? Because these turrets you can place them now from like super far away. That opens up some possibilities that didn't exist before. They're a bit stronger than they used to be. They don't they're not wafer thin where Winston just breathes at them and
I remember you used to see 6 Symmetra turrets at a choke and Winston would just walk through and just 360 and everything would be dead instantly.
Yeah, now it takes a little bit longer. he has to apply the Tesla cannon to it a little bit more, but so I think that'll be different. People like have to learn like what's the best ways to use that. I was really amused. I mean, I think it was in the stage playoffs. Like one of the teams actually tried to set up a car wash on Gibraltar, like briefly.
Really?
Yeah, it was kind of just a clever like one-off thing, and then they switched off Symmetra immediately. But again, like there's those kinds of strats.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, it's like, or do people just use the turrets in the sense of like, hey, I'm gonna use my turrets just to protect the supports. Who knows? Like I said, I'm certainly not the
I think
OWL like strat expert by any
I think from just playing it, a lot of the time what ends up happening is a fight will be going on, and then suddenly 3 Symmetra turrets will just appear somewhere in the team fight, and they'll just start like it'll be really scary for one of the enemy sport players, for example.
But something even like during testing, there was a huge difference once we added the sounds for them actually moving through the air, and I think it's just gonna be a little. Once people get used to them and they actually like sort of tune in for those sounds, you won't be caught by surprise as much when they like fly over your head and land and start attacking from behind. You'll know that they're flying by, and you can actually shoot them in midair.
Oh yeah, you can.
Right. So
I remember seeing a clip of someone blocking an enemy high noon by throwing the turret at the perfect time.
Yeah.
There's some cool stuff you can do with it.
Yeah. So I mean, again, you get into the barrier and like how what's the best way to use that helps your team the most. So yeah, someone's going to need to learn how to potentially play Mercer, at least like even if they end up not using it, at least to have that threat.
Yeah. Chat, what do you got for us? Give us some topics, chat.
All right, so there's some people. I'll read this a little bit. So some people ask about replays. We're still working on it. Honest. We still want to do replays, and we're working on it. And we're really excited about like the final form of what replays will look like in Overwatch. A lot of exciting stuff happening there. We don't want to just like do replays. We want to do replays at a really high quality.
Make sure it's really well polished.
It's, I mean, not just polished, but like super like easy to use. Moving forwards and backwards in it. Making something where you like don't have to like necessarily like manage like all the files. Like there's a lot of things we want to do right with it. So it's definitely taking a little bit of time. There's again just like a lot of like little small things again to get just what you see. I mean, you see like an ODO occasionally like. And then we've tried to stomp these whenever we can, but little things in terms of like you're seeing what the server sees, not what the client sees, and sometimes it's like off like a little bit. So
you see that occasionally with tracer bombs.
And we're just trying to like stomp out all those kinds of things as well, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's just a very complicated feature, but we absolutely still want to make that available to the not just OWL or the tier 2 scene or any part of Path to Pro, but like for normal players, because. I mean, we're already seeing a lot of like really cool content in terms of VOD review. I mean, I think it's one of like the best, kinds of like feedback we see on Twitch, on YouTube. People like really like delving into like pro games, trying to talk about this is what the strats. Because I mean, what people want to do, they want to like learn. They want to be able to say like, hey, how do I become better? And VOD reviews are a great way to do that.
They teach you what the game is.
They teach you what the game is, and with actual replays, you're not just limited to what the spectator happened to be looking at, but you could actually go and look. It's like, hey, what if I like, could I potentially like, hey, what is Jonak looking at all the time?
Yeah.
If I want to be like an awesome Zenyatta, it's like, hey, I'll go look at Jonak.
Invaluable because when I was first learning D.Va in Overwatch League, I was spending most of my time in spectator, and so I would just watch and record as many enemy divas in Overwatch League as possible. So I had this giant spreadsheet of every diva in Overwatch League recording VODs, and I just watched them and I studied them all the time, and that's how I learned diva so quickly. And I think that sort of thing is very, very important for the tier 2 scene, the tier 3 scene, anyone really, to improve their game as fast as possible.
Yeah, I mean, especially for for tanks and supports, where a lot of what they're doing is the positioning is so important. And that positioning isn't like immediately obvious from the spectator view.
Yeah, because everyone has a piece of the puzzle in a team.
Yeah, and for some teams it's different. It's like but like as a diva player, it's like, are you more offensively focused? Or are you more trying to protect the team? You want to be able to do that. You want to be able to do that, but like maybe it depends on the map. Maybe it depends on what your team needs at this particular time. It's like, are you down? Do you need to really take this point right? There's so many things, that come into playing, these heroes at like a super high level, with like great teamwork, that being able to see the full replay will really, I think, unlock a lot of that, like the ability to learn and improve. So that's one of the reasons I'm excited about it. I think it's just really cool to be. It'll be really cool just to be able to like look at a game in the client. Whatever like frame rate, you got a really nice PC, you would like look at the game, not just like as a compressed video. Like, so.
Lots of people talking about Genji in chat.
Lots of people talking about Genjis.
The people are worried, man. With Brigitte in the game, all the armor, people don't know what to do.
Genji still has a lot of amazing things about him, and he definitely like makes some really super impactful plays. Is he necessarily, during the early OWL stages where he was being played practically, it felt like the entire time, along with side Tracer, and then the big dive comp. Are we in that kind of place? No, but that might be a better play. It's like the important thing is like, are there times where you would want to use Genji? If the answer is still yes, then I think we're still good.
Can't be that bad.
It can't be that bad. Certainly, she's one of the big reasons we did the Symmetra rework is because no one played her in OWL.
Has she ever been picked?
briefly at the beginning of matches.
So basically
never.
Yeah. Was she the only one that has never been picked? People picked Torb.
Yeah, she was it. She was basically it.
Rough.
Yeah, because I think it was Timo that actually played it.
This is
On a new
definitely
Bonnie, I
Timo.
think,
It
if
was
I remember
probably
correctly.
Timo.
Yeah, so you guys were on Nimbani point A defense, and he brought it out. So
I got him lame.
yeah, Torb's going to be interesting because we're trying so much stuff with him, and some of it's worked well, some of it hasn't. But again, it's like okay, this mechanic is good, but this doesn't like play. This isn't as good with some of the other things he does. So finding some of the right things for him has been a pretty interesting process. Because I mean, he has some of the same issues that Symmetra has, just not as bad in the sense of they're very snowbally in the sense of like they're really great if you can like win that first team fight. With Symmetra, it was really great if you could get to the point where you could like use.
If you have a shield generator,
shield generator.
you're happy.
Shield generator is amazing. That extra 100 health is so huge, right? But like, well, if you don't snowball to that, it's like oops. And with Torb, I think it wasn't quite that bad. Although like, if you can like get Molten Core, it's really super impactful. It's like a Molten Core is basically like, well, we're not going to try to take this point, within while that thing's running. But at least with teleport. But then it's like if you could like win a fight, you could get armor packs going, and that was another like, the difference between like having a team fight and then having a team fight when your supports have armor packs is pretty big.
Game changing.
So I mean, I think that's one of the big things we're trying to do with him is make it so where he doesn't like feel as snowbally, and that's again, I think it was a lot of what we're doing with Symmetra as well. So
I swear, the teleporting juggling back and forth is truly crazy.
That was one of those things where it's like, do we want to let people like go back and forth, or is it one way? And it just sort of came down to, wow, it's way cooler if we can like go back and forth. So we like really just tried to make it. We really just made it happen.
I like charging.
Sometimes game design is that it really is that simple. It's like, is this really really cool?
Yeah.
Okay, well we should make that happen. Like well, it's so like not all the I'm the designer that actually implements the custom game options.
Oh.
So for the heroes, and they're not all working for Wrecking Ball yet, but one of the ones that's actually on the list, if you go and see that, I'll get working pretty soon, is basically that roll mode is always on. So you could have, I don't know, you haven't tried it yet. I tried it a little bit like earlier, like on the PS, like no limits Wrecking Ball is kind of insane.
It is definitely insane.
But it's like, okay, what if you had like no limit or Wrecking Ball, but it was just the balls, and then like you crank the damage like way up, so like the impacts are doing like this huge damage and so forth. So I mean, I think there's like, I don't know, we'll see some like really like interesting stuff come out of that.
It is so weird being able to put an ult from spawn all the way across the map. I know it's helping my team, but I can't see it.
Yeah, we had we had an awesome bug with this. Because it literally cuts across the entire map, there's the point on Ilios that has the cars.
Oh, yeah.
So we were playing Symmetra on that map, people would like put the wall down and it would just disappear, and we're like, where'd the wall go? And what it was the cars were actually like impacting the barriers and like destroying it. So we had to make like, it's like, all right, the cars can go through Symmetra barrier now. But it was hilarious, but it's one of those like funny things whenever you're game development, it's like, oh, that's just hilarious.
Chat, we have 5 more minutes with Scott Mercer. Ask your questions, chat. We're going through almost everything. Let's see. Let's let him get it. Oh, there's a lot of questions.
Yeah, and there's so many different ones. I'm trying to go through some of these things. Wow, no, this is just going super fast. It's like, yeah, I mean, I see a Genji fly by, and then it's like Lucio, but I don't know if it was an actual question other than someone just typed Lucio.
Well, we can talk about Lucio if you want. He's definitely in an interesting position right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll have to see. I mean, he still brings the speed boost, which is still, again, I think in the right team composition. Like,
you see him used really often in death ball comps with lots of tanks.
Yeah, and I think on very specific maps you like to see him as well. So I think he's still like really viable and has some definite uses there. But that's another one where I think we haven't necessarily I think we've gotten some feedback. I'm really interested to see again because I think this is also people have been living with the new Lucio role writing.
Oh yeah.
And some of that stuff's pretty cool. So I was actually really happy because I will admit, chat, I am not an amazing Lucio player, so I was actually pretty happy to see that change going in because it's something I could actually look like a pro ball writer, which was awesome. Enjoyed it. Wow,
we gotta get out of this spawn. It's only a matter of time.
Step one. Oh, it's the teleporter. There you go. Ooh!
There we go. The snipes.
Right, the pick.
No, we couldn't get there fast enough.
Yeah. Other stuff.
Map editor. Ooh, I haven't heard that one in a long time.
Yeah, map editor is something. It's definitely something. We're not going to be able to get to that anytime soon. But map editor is something we definitely would like to do it because I don't know, just from a personal level, so many of the designers working on Overwatch. I got my start in design because I was able to make a StarCraft map with the StarCraft editor, and when you think of all the stuff that happened with the War 3 editor, all the stuff you can make with that, we definitely want to provide we would definitely would love to be able to unleash the power of the community to create really cool stuff, which is we basically dipped our toes I think with some of the custom game options, and we've come up with some pretty cool stuff there.
Hide and seek.
Hide and seek.
There's lots of stuff.
It's the
on a paintball.
On a paintball, yeah. We've gotten a lot of interesting ideas for game modes for that kind of thing, and we definitely want to do more because again, it's one of the things. It's so cool. We need to make it happen. It's just it's a long technical process to get from point A to that point B that's way over there.
Yeah.
But we'd love to see it. So please continue to have hope. And like I said, I'd love to see it personally.
So another question I saw scroll by very quickly was competitive rewards.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on competitive rewards?
So for us, competitive rewards, it's really a situation where in an ideal world, I think people would be playing competitive because they like the rules, they like just the competitiveness of the mode, just period. Again, it's the most fun way for them to play, is to play with a competitive, in a competitive setting. The attaching rewards to something like that is something that almost feels like we almost shouldn't have to. I don't know if we necessarily need to. We've done the golden guns, and certainly they're cool. They look really nice. But at this point, people that enjoy competitive play are going to play competitive mode. I think regardless of rewards. So it's something we're not actively looking to get right on more competitive rewards. But so we'll really just sort of have to see. But it's not very high priorities for us now. We've been spending all this time on I think systems that help competitive play in a more general sense. The LFG, the endorsements. You think of all these things, helping, player behavior, better reporting, all that kind of stuff. When you think of what would make competitive play better, the answer to that isn't necessarily better rewards.
I want skins,
Right. It's hey, what can we do to improve the matchmaker? What can we do to improve issues with player behavior? What can we do to provide players with more control over creating groups? All these things I think are a much better and healthier way to improve competitive play, and that's why we've been prioritizing all those things over something hey, can we create another set of weapons? If it's not gold, what is it? I don't know. You've heard people talk about it. It's well, if you have diamond weapons, it's yeah, we can probably make some pretty cool looking diamond weapons, but again, is that the reason you're really playing competitive?
Yeah.
So there you go, chat.
There you go, chat. I think we get maybe fit one more question, chat. One last question.
Or maybe I can hang around a little bit. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
Keep on asking questions until I'm kicked out, chat. Let's go. tournament systems. We're excited about it. Again, that's not a short range sort of thing that you'll see, but it's something I actually worked on a long time ago, like Warcraft 3's automated tournament system.
Oh.
So it's something I'm familiar with and know how I think it could be really cool. Some of the stuff I think will play into some we'll see. Again, it's just a matter of priorities and what we were trying to do with competitive play. But I think there's a lot of really cool things. One thing about our competitive seasons is that the top 500 provides some kind of sense of, hey, I'm a really good player, something to shoot for, can I be in the top 500, whatever. But there's something about a more short-term, really super competitive, thing to work around. If it's a tournament you have on a Saturday afternoon or something.
Weekend tournaments have their own charm for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's something where it's hey, we won the tournament this week, or we played second or something. There's something that's really cool and immediate about that in a way that a longer season, the normal competitive seasons, don't provide. So that's one of the reasons I think we're excited about potentially doing that in the future. And once we get to that point, then I think it also helps just provide tools in terms of, I know a lot of the pro players have asked for these kinds of tournament systems, again, because they just want to be able to set up, more thought together teams.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, now that we have LFG, some of that stuff we can also do on that angle. But again, it's providing a little bit of structure to that in a way that our normal competitive play seasons don't. So we're excited about it. I wouldn't expect anything super soon with it, but I'd love to really do see that happen. What else?
I love teleporters.
It's not gonna get old anytime soon. It's really not. What other stuff? I see console, but I'm not sure what you guys mean about console. Sorry, chat. This is
very, very, very
it's
fast.
very, very, very fast, and my eyes are not quite so good anymore. What? Oh, I think I'm getting tossed out.
Uh-oh. They're taking them away.
Reinforcements? Reinforcements have arrived. You get someone else to talk to. But anyway, it was good seeing you, Goodman.
Yeah. Last time we chatted was Gamescom in Germany.
Yes.
It's been a while.
And you were destroying all these.
Oh yeah, we destroyed it a little too hard.
No, I'm just saying. I was saying
it.
at Gamescom, we were debuting Junkertown, and you were streaming, but you were playing everyone that was coming up to play Junkertown. So there wasn't much, though, we would say very tightly skill-based matchmaking going on. So you were just horribly spawn camping people, and you had to let them go. It was amazing to see because he was just it was just a Junkrat clinic, Just,
it was such a funny.
It was hilarious. But yeah, definitely great seeing you again. And congrats on that stage 4 turnaround, man.
I know, we turned it around.
Yeah,
it was tough.
It was really good to see.
Very fast.
But yeah, so thanks. I will get out of you guys here.
Say bye, chat. Give them hearts.
Bye, chat. Love you guys. Really, love you guys. All right, I'm off.
Peace. All right, chat. That was Scott Mercer. Bye, Scott.
Bye.
All right, chat. Wait, is the pug still going? I think everyone crashed. So, chat. Guess who's coming next, chat? Take a guess. Soon TM. Geoff? It is Papa Geoff. Soon. He hasn't actually opened the door yet, so I'm just sitting in this room alone. But only alone with you, chat. I'm making eye contact with you, chat, right now. Oh god, I just breathed into the microphone, dude. I'm sorry. Give me a Dan's game, please. Dan's game collab. Thank you, chat. Appreciate it. So what kind of questions do you guys have for Geoff? I need some ideas. Because honestly, I ran out of all of my question ideas starting after Goodman, which was the first guy. And then we had Scott, and now we have Geoff. So we're on So we're on dev number 3. I'm running out of questions.
Have a delivery.
The delivery. Oh, hello, Geoff.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
And water's through there.
Okay, awesome.
Brandon, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today.
I know. You guys are having a busy day.
It's quite a busy day. It's been a fascinating week because earlier this week on Tuesday, I read on the internet that we had single-handedly saved the game with LFG, and then this morning after we tweeted the hamster in the ball, I read that we had single-handedly destroyed the game forever. So,
Well,
in,
you know,
in
it's,
1 week.
The game industry moves pretty fast, Geoff. You got to keep up with it. You don't know.
Yeah. So hopefully as people have been playing, because we deliberately did the thing, it was planned all along that we were going to put the tweet out at like 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
And not explain anything and just kind of let it go. We knew we were going to put the PTR up at 11 and just kind of let people run with their imagination a little bit.
Yeah.
I think once you play, he's an amazing game design, and I think he's going to be an amazing contribution to the game.
I mean, I've been waiting for skill-based movement, and he is the epitome of skill-based movement. Like, you actually have to know the map so well to go around. It's gonna be really, really fun.
Yeah. I can't wait to see all the rollout sites
I know.
of like on what map, you know, what are the crazy things you can do and how badly can you break the game with this little guy.
Yeah. I'm honestly kind of worried about like, okay, Symmetra and Hammond at the same time. Does he keep his momentum if he swings through a teleporter?
He technically should. If he doesn't, I'd consider that a bug, but that would be pretty amazing.
I'm excited.
We're in new territory with the Symmetra teleporter and with this guy and his momentum. Like, we need to just decide the rules and figure out how it should work.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is by default it will work that he keeps his momentum. So we're not coordinated enough at my skill level to actually make something like that happen. Like, if I take,
I'm not either right now. That's gonna be really hard.
If I take, like, anytime I hit the Symmetra teleporter, it's kind of like a shock. We used to have it, by the way, where you didn't have to press the interact key.
Oh,
you would just go through. That was a complete disaster.
I feel like you could just troll your teammates so hard with it if it didn't have an interact key. Because it's not like it's just only in spawn anymore. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. And then you would send it, you basically be 1v6ing everybody. I've been noticing you're playing a lot of Symmetra.
I am very addicted to Symmetra right now.
Nice. What do you think of her?
I really like her teleporter. I think it's really cool. Her left click, I feel like does a little bit, not enough damage unless I'm just shooting a barrier with it. So for the most part, all I do is I use the right click or left click only. I'd have to do the math on it to see when it's at actual DPS increase, because I feel like, let's say I'm shooting a Wrecking Ball who jumps in, right? If he jumps in, and I know he's just going to eventually roll out, is it faster to shoot a couple right clicks, or do I even bother charging up the left click?
Yeah, are you going to get ramped or not?
Yeah.
We were talking. Did you talk to Geoff about it all today on the stream?
A little bit, but I don't remember.
This was definitely a topic of conversation for us yesterday. Was, you know, is Symmetra's left click in particular in the right place? Do we need to do something? We have to be careful with it, especially when the ramped up damage is crazy, and we really like the concept of there should be skill involved in getting to that ramped up state, and then there's a big payoff moment. But we just need to make sure that you get there at the right time. I think we did it with Zarya. I think we're in a good place with Zarya.
Zarya feels very good.
Yeah, so we just need to figure it out for Symmetra and get her
with
there.
Zarya, it's like if she's ever ramped up, you know why. Like, you're the reason. Like, you fed her. Like, it's your own fault. You know it's coming.
It wasn't me. It was my teammates.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I never feed her.
Well, definitely not me or my LFG teammates, but definitely that solo queue guy on my team now.
We were grouped last night, but we were grouped as a six stack of like all legit friends. So
filthy six stack.
I know, filthy six stack, and we were all friends, so we couldn't endorse each other.
Oh no!
So the game became how sickeningly sweet could we be to the other team to try to get endorsements from the other team, because it was our only hope.
We just removed each other from friends.
Oh, look at that.
But then you guys added the cooldown.
Yeah.
Of when you remove people from friends, you can't commend them or whatever. So we're just sitting there just like, oh, we can't endorse each other. What do we do?
It's almost like we thought of it ahead of time.
It's a shame.
I
was hoping to farm my endorsements.
By the way, I don't know how you do it. I can't play the game and talk about not what's happening in the game at the same time.
This
it's like
is
the
very much
hardest
my
thing.
autopilot, in which I don't really know what's happening, but I'm just sort of like aiming in the general direction and throwing teleporters and stuff. And I really like teleporters. So right now I'm just having fun with it.
What are you excited about? Like, what do you think will happen on the OWL level that's probably not going to happen in our average games with that teleporter? Like, what are some of the things that you think are possible?
I get really worried about start of game teleporters on just cheese strats with teleporters, because you can see, so pretty much, like, let's say you want to, how would I put this? Let's say I'll go over, say, Horizon first point offense, right? And if you ever watch an OWL, you'll see it as there's a phase of attack where people are setting up, and then they wait a few seconds in cooldowns, and then they attack. And so the setting up phase with Symmetra, you get to skip that because you have to use one cooldown now. Because before it was like, okay, Winston go here, you drop the bubble here, you matrix our Mercy across, we go here in the corner, we wait for the next leap and dash CD, we dive top. If they don't ever get it, like, it's very in depth, like a whole flow chart of how to dive certain areas, right? And this is just one example strategy on one point. But with Symmetra now, I just drop a teleporter. It makes it easier. And the best thing about it too is I think it'll make a lot of these, well, maybe it's the theory, I'm not sure. Let's say an Orisa comp, for example, on defense on a lot of these maps. I think in solo queue, a lot of people have problems with that because, I mean, how often do you see like a spam comp? Like Symmetra is going to get used a lot right now, right? Junkrat, Orisa. How common do you see that? Well, I mean, you guys are reworking Torb now too, so you're going to have like the trifecta here. But it's really hard to push that in a solo queue environment because you're like, okay, guys, you need you to do something that isn't just push the enemy. I need you guys to like go around them, surround them, go from different directions. Without Symmetra TP, I just go, oh, just take the teleporter, go over here, and then we flank. You know, it's easier to set up. It like promotes natural teamwork, I think.
Well, I'm really curious to see it play out, and more than anything, I would just love to see Symmetra played once in OWL. I feel like I could retire at that moment if it's going to happen. Like,
I
we
hope
did
someone
it.
does it in playoffs now just for that. Oh, nice shot.
Just make me retire.
No, not for the retire, because now I want to see the playoffs.
Yeah.
I want to see a use.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah. She's not
Don't retire.
allowed. She's not allowed in the playoffs. So
Aw.
I don't know if you heard that, but
No. Well, I knew she wasn't going to be in, but I wasn't sure which patch it was.
yeah, we thought that there were too many radical changes that had happened with
So
her.
is this the first hero ban in Overwatch?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. We thought it was the right thing to do. We felt pretty good about the direction she's going, but when you do that many changes to a character, it can be really risky to put something like that in a really competitive tournament like OWL has been.
Yeah. Especially because you don't know if there's going to be bugs with how crazy TP is.
There's never any bugs. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I haven't even crashed a single time, actually. This is really nice. Very stable.
Are you serious? No, you've been crashing like crazy. It's PTR. It's day one of PTR.
I know.
I felt so bad because we have a group at Blizzard called Reliability Engineering, who's responsible for all the patch deploys and the live service and making sure everything's really great. And normally when we put a PTR up, they're accepting of some bugs because they understand like the whole purpose of the PTR is that these bugs are going to happen.
Yeah.
But last night they came to me and they said, you know, look, this is a big hero announce and there's still some bugs in this build. And our reaction was, oh, it's the PTR. Like, what's the big deal with the bugs? And they're like, there's going to be a lot of people watching this.
Yeah.
Like,
There's going to be a lot of crashing.
yeah.
That makes sense. I'm glad you guys weren't scared to put it up anyway, though.
No. You have to get it out as early as possible, and you have to get as much testing in as possible.
Well, I think with something like these two heroes, too, it's...
Yeah, absolutely. I have to say, on behalf of like the Twitch community, we're so happy to see you streaming again. But we've totally missed your stream.
It's been a while.
It's great to have you back.
It's been a long time. I don't know. I'm terrible at multitasking my competitive mode versus. I could have dropped my teleporter. What am I doing? I'm very singular-minded. So if I'm focusing on one thing, it's all I ever do.
I can imagine. I can respect that. What do you think about the Sombra changes?
I talked with him about Goodman for a little bit, and my response was something along the lines of, I actually don't think other players will notice it that much. Because I think the only person who's really going to notice it is going to be the Sombra most of the time. Because the vast majority of the time, when you see a Sombra, she's decloaking behind you already.
Yeah.
And so, let's say I also said something along the lines of I think people get a little bit worried when they hear the words permastealth because they think rogues from WoW or any other MMO where they just get ganked and they get one shot. And so I'm not sure. A lot of people, I know some people were complaining because they actually thought it was a nerf because they were good at managing the cooldown and they use stealth to contest objectives. And so therefore to them it was like, well, I don't actually need this, so I just move slower and now I can't contest while invis. So.
Well, that's fascinating. I was kind of joking because, you know, kind of my skill level. I was reading the forums and hearing the complaining about, you know, Sombra contesting.
Yeah.
And I was thinking at my skill level, what I would pay to see a Sombra actually stand on the point just once ever would have been fascinating. So I don't know
footage.
I don't even know if they knew that they could contest the point in stealth at my skill level. But I'm sure at higher skill levels, it's more of a big deal. Yeah.
It's truly possible. Every once in a while, you see it.
We were once making fun of our friend who is a Genji main for having top objective time. He got a gold medal in objective time. And
What
then,
is he doing?
Yeah, we made fun of him for that. So.
There's been a lot of complaints in Twitch chat today about Genji after Brigitte was put into the game. They're like, buff Genji, Blizzard.
Genji.
What are your thoughts on
My
Genji?
thoughts on Genji is a highly effective character, and I think he totally has his place. Genji obviously will come in and out of the mix in terms of popularity, more so depending on what the current meta is. Like you see that with a lot of different heroes, and it doesn't surprise me to hear a lot of complaints that Brigitte was causing trouble for Genji, because you have to keep in mind the two top played heroes when we introduced Brigitte before she was announced were Mercy and Genji.
Yeah.
And they were sort of their top played characters by a long shot. So anytime you have the largest audience and then you introduce a counter to that largest audience, they're going to feel it the most. But there was also a reason why a counter needed to be introduced.
Yeah. You messed with the baby.
Yeah.
Pretty much. To them, that's what you did.
Yeah.
It's like my baby. That's how I felt when you removed triple jump, Geoff.
That was, I remember that moment. I remember going to Geoff and saying, I think we need to do this. And Geoff going, yes, I think we do as well. And we both knew the reaction we were going to get when it happened. Do you miss 8-second ult Genji also?
Well, that was kind of overpowered.
Okay, but the triple jump.
That was kind of overpowered, but triple
Yeah.
jump was like, you don't notice it. Okay, so the 8 seconds, you notice it because it's a direct nerf, but when you mess with the core gameplay mechanic, it's the habitual things that you do.
The flow.
Yeah, the flow of how you play the character, that gets messed up, and so you notice it constantly, and so you just rage for like 3 weeks.
I see. I'm glad you got over it, though.
I didn't get over it.
Okay.
I still haven't forgiven you, but we'll see. We'll see.
We'll try
You
to...
put in another skill-based movement into the game. We have a roly-poly hamster now, so we're getting there.
He is a ton of fun to play, and I was really excited. I should talk about like how he came about. I don't know if some of the others have talked about like his origin.
Goodman did a little bit, but you could go for it.
Okay, so I'll sort of talk about. He is not a new development. Believe it or not, Wrecking Ball was one of the earlier characters that we concepted. And we went into a phase when we were coming up with different art for Overwatch where we were like, what are sort of the limitations and the boundaries of what we want to do in terms of character designs? We always knew that we were going to...
Jetpack Cat?
Jetpack Cat was part of that. Like, and we had all those crazy things that we showed at BlizzCon. Like, we had the little gargoyle kid, and, you know, it was very, very bizarre. But originally... what Wrecking Ball was Arnold Sang, our assistant art director, was exploring cool robot designs.
Oh.
And he made this cool round robot. It wasn't the ball yet. It was just like the cool mech. And we thought it was awesome, and he called it Wrecking Ball. Like, he always puts a name by every one of the concepts. And we're like, dude, that's awesome. We love it. And Geoff started designing abilities around it that had all to do with magnetism. So he was gonna be like a magnetic attractor and detractor, and we were doing this whole like magnetic kit around
Pulls
it.
in the projectiles, he releases them type of stuff.
Yes, it was very cool, and you know, hopefully we'll see some of those magnetic ideas come in future heroes. But that was the direction we were going, and we thought it was awesome. And then I don't know what inspired Arnold to do it, but he just sends out to the team mailing list one day. It's just said Wrecking Ball, and we all knew, like, we're a big fan of this mech character that he made. And it just had this little hamster pointing out of the top. And we're like, oh my gosh, that makes it all make sense now to us. And like it changed our world. And it became the most controversial hero ever on the Overwatch team. Is Hammond / Wrecking Ball. And you're seeing that play out this morning on the forums, on Reddit, and social media, where our team is the same way. Half the team absolutely loves it, thinks it's brilliant, thinks it's the best thing ever, and the other half of the team is like, you're ruining the game. we had the funniest interaction over it. So every day I walk to this like boba milk tea place across the street, and I was walking across with this guy named Geoff Brill, who's one of our server programmers, and a guy by the name of Randall Dumoret, who was one of our interface designers, interface artists. Like, he did like the Overwatch logo and all that kind of stuff. Just brilliant guy. And Geoff Brill was in the camp of, I think this is the best thing to ever happen to the game. And it must be in the game. And Randall Dumoret said, this is the dumbest thing ever. We can't do this. If you allow this to happen, Geoff, you're going to wreck the game. So what Geoff Brill did is, and then we had this whole discussion of how are we going to know if it wrecked the game or not. And so Geoff Brill's solution was to put a meeting in our calendar for 10 years from now. And this was like 4 years ago. So the meeting's coming up in 6 years. And we said the only way we're going to know if we wrecked the game is like, in 10 years from now, we'll sit down and go, did it wreck the game? And if it did wreck the game, we'll take it out at that time.
All right,
so
6 years, guys.
we have a plan. We're on it.
We prepared for this.
Yes, there was a lot of thought put into it. You can see that game development is like an intricate process that's run by absolute professionals like us. So
Absolutely.
So his story's important. Has anybody talked about his story?
I didn't actually have a good chance to look at his story before hopping in the server. Okay. So all I know is suddenly there's a hamster and he's from the moon.
So Horizon Lunar Colony had a lot of colonization experiments going on. Like, how can humanity live beyond the bounds of Earth? And part of that was bringing a primate group up there and doing some genetic experiments on the primates to sort of see what the effects of living in space would be for them, as well as how that would affect humanity. And interesting things happen. Like Winston all of a sudden is super intelligent. He can talk. It all kind of makes complete and total scientific sense.
Complete sense.
There also happened to be a minor test subject there called Hammond. And Hammond was this little hamster, and they started doing the genetic therapy on him as well. And two things happened. One, he became intelligent, and the second, he grew a whole bunch.
Big hamster.
He's very big, yeah. We were having a discussion about size and scale, and how big exactly is the hamster, and we're like, well, he's about Pikachu size, as if Pikachu is a scientific measurement of size. But yeah, so then the primates on the Horizon Lunar Colony revolted. Winston wasn't down with it. Like, he's like, hey, I actually like Dr. Harold Winston and these other scientists. I too am a scientist. Mm-hmm. I'm going to escape from this primate revolt that's happening on Horizon Lunar Colony. And even though Hammond doesn't speak, like, he can't speak to humans, he was thinking the same thing too. Like, I got to get out of here. These monkeys are crazy. And so he hitches a ride on Winston's escape module. But the cord snaps halfway through space, and when Winston falls in Gibraltar, Hammond ends up landing on the outskirts of Junkertown.
Huh.
This is all plausible fiction. This happened. This is canon.
It is? It is.
It's canon.
So are Winston and Hammond best buds?
They're not best. They're buds. They like each other, but I think there's a respect there. Like Winston would respect anybody who could do something like engineer this mech, out of an escape pod. So Winston would have respect for that. They can communicate to one another because, of course, they're animals, and all animals can communicate with one another.
Yeah.
However, Hammond cannot communicate with humans, except he can use his mech like a soundboard to say things like, rolling through and that sort of thing.
So he only speaks through a soundboard?
Yes. Through the mech.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
And
what kind of voice lines is Hammond going to have?
it's awesome. Hammond was one of the funnest characters when it came to voice direction and voice acting. There's actually 2 voice actors are doing the voice acting. There's one voice actor who does the hamster, and there's another voice actor who does the mech. And they're both sort of amazingly talented, and it was a lot of fun casting them. It was a lot of fun working with them. So that was pretty killer. And we spent a lot of time, our audio director, Scott Lawler, is really into the voice design and how the VO system works. And we put in a lot of time experimenting with, like, how much hamster versus how much ball, like which do you want to hear?
Yeah.
And Michael Chu also had a lot of fun writing lines for sort of both and trying to get, should this just be a hamster exclusive moment, or should this be, hamster says something, ball responds, or just the ball says something. So I can't believe that's like our job and we do this for a living. It's kind of ridiculous.
I mean, when you come down to, do I want to put this space hamster in my game? How can anything be the response but yes?
Yeah. Well, as Randall evidenced, there are people who, had an issue. What was really cool is through the development of Wrecking Ball, we won over a lot of the team who was anti-Wrecking Ball. They became very pro-Wrecking Ball.
Oh, so you converted them.
We converted them. And that's what I'm hoping that we can do with much of the Overwatch audience at large. All kidding aside, I think the gameplay is phenomenal, and I think when people play him for the first time, they're just going to have such a blast. There were other things too, like our animators. This was an animation dream. Our animator. Oh, I love this. This is No Limits. That last guy's got to heal. Come on. I saw a great LFG group, which was just called I Need Healing. And the guy had restricted the roles, and it was 1 tank slot and 5 support slots. I'm like, why didn't I think of that?
That's big brain.
Yeah, totally.
We need to do this.
Okay. What's the other team? Or we're not going to know for 15 seconds. I have a pretty good guess.
I'm also curious what the other team composition could possibly be in this moment.
If they're 5 with 1 healer, what do you think is going to happen? You think you guys are going to dive that healer?
Oh, they're screwed. That 1 healer's going down.
I'm pretty excited about the sound of his guns.
I noticed that the reload animation is really cool.
Yeah. You also, like, the longer you shoot his guns, the more you'll start to hear them. I just describe it as fluttering. Like, you can hear them going out of ammo. And you see the barrels start getting red.
Oh, yeah. It reminds... Isn't there another character who does that?
Yeah, we try to do it on a lot of our characters. We're trying to make the guns feel as visceral as possible.
Yeah.
We're really lucky. We have a bunch of friends at Infinity Ward, and they're the guys who make Call of Duty, or one of the studios that makes Call of Duty. And we spent a bunch of time with them because we think their guns feel and sound awesome.
Yeah.
And so this was the first hero that we worked on after we had this big meeting with Infinity Ward where we learned some of their tricks and techniques. So
that's really cool. You guys get to share ideas like that.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And then we get to see all the stuff everybody's working on and show them our stuff and just get ideas. There's a Doomfist in there.
They have a Doomfist and a Roadhog.
So who, in your mind, who do you think Wrecking Ball is going to counter? Who do you think is going to counter Wrecking Ball?
Honestly, I think he's probably going to be really overpowered.
Okay.
And the reason for that is just because... so you have a lot of mobile tanks in the game. This is probably the most mobile tank, who also does some of the most ridiculous damage. And so when you implement a mobile tank who has burst damage, so Winston Leap, so for example, Winston's in Overwatch League, they land and they punch same time, right? So that's a decent amount of burst damage. Now you've added a second piece of burst damage. So what's going to happen is I can see 3 tank compositions being run with Hammond and Winston and D.Va, and all 3 of them will try and jump the same target together and just one-shot them. I could see that being pretty common because let's say you have a Hammond plus a Winston on the same team and a target is discorded, they vaporize.
They're gonna, yeah.
And so, because he has a burst ability and he's a mobile tank, he very quickly turns from, how do I put it? Like Winston, when you have just like one character diving, that's like a decent chunk of burst damage. When you have a lot of decent chunk of burst damage put together, suddenly they're just a goner. And so, luckily we have Brigitte in the game now to kind of give you a buffer for a lot of that. They can give you armor, or maybe she has armor from the ult and stuff like that. But that's what I'm worried about right now is not only that, but also if this character is very, very easy to get behind a team because he has some of the highest mobility in the game. And so when he gets behind a team, it's very difficult to kill him or catch him because he can just run away from you. And it's how do you catch him? And then if you do catch him, how do you kill him? And who's going to do that? That's very difficult.
If you were going to try to hard counter Wrecking Ball right now, like let's say the team, you weren't playing No Limits, the team had a Wrecking Ball, what would be your strategy to take him down?
I would probably look at, well, it depends. I think
Discord?
Yeah, Discord is the easy one. I would assume like a full standard team composition, and which is going to be like 2 healers, couple tanks, couple DPS. I would probably want either a Mei. I think Mei really destroys him. He has a very hard time versus Mei. The new Symmetra turrets actually slow him down really hard. I noticed that when I was playing Wrecking Ball and the other team had a Symmetra, let's say I come around a corner, even in ball form, if I'm swinging, I can just be instantly rooted in place and I just explode. So I think any character with slows, any character that has stuns, so McCree will probably be very good versus Wrecking Ball. His just ran into a minefield. His hitbox is so big that McCree can consistently right-click even mid-range and probably one-shot him. Not really one-shot, but do a lot of damage. Mei is really strong. Reaper probably really destroy him because his hitbox is gigantic. I don't know. That's my first instinct so far. But the hard part is catching him.
Yeah. There's a lot of times where you think you've got him, and even the team is focused on him, and he'll manage to get away. That adaptive shield is really powerful, like that ability, and it encourages him to dive in like you just did. Like you're actually even more so encouraged to jump into a group of 6. A lot of times we'll be playing with Winstons who will jump into a group of 6 when they really shouldn't. It's really not a good idea. And Wrecking Ball can actually get away with it in some of those moments. But I think that'll be one of the tuning points for him. Like, obviously, he has a lot of easy knobs for us to turn.
Yeah,
cooldowns, damage, how much adaptive shield, mins and maxes on all of that. So I feel like he's a character who's situated to not be terribly hard for us to balance in terms of what he can do. The main thing is when you balance a character like this, you don't want to lose the fun factor. And right now he's very much tuned for that fun factor.
I think he's at maximum fun right now, which will probably end up being maximum overpowered, because I just look at it as when a character can consistently jump in and almost always consistently jump out. So like Winston, for example, if I jump in and I drop my bubble, I can be blown up before I jump out. But this character, I can jump in, and if there's enough people around me with my new shield, it is nearly impossible for me to get blown up, even if I'm discorded, I think. Because I think you start at like over 1,000 HP if you hit like the whole team inside of it. So I think once you guys see him played out a little bit more and more feedback, oh, that guy disappeared, bye. Probably I could see his shield being nerfed a little bit just for basic survivability, and then past that, he'll probably be pretty decent. Because, for example, I think I just had only a couple people there, but I ended up getting like a 300 or 400 HP shield, and that's like almost a Winston.
He was really fun. The first version we had of him, he didn't have the grapple claw. And that was something, we had a designer named Adam Poole, and Geoff Goodman worked a lot on it. He added that grapple claw, which, like, it hit that fantasy of Wrecking Ball even more. But wow, the mobility that it added at that point. And it was just so much fun, like the crazy things it could do. And we spent a lot of time in iteration on trying to get it to feel as good as possible. Spent a lot of time too on the roll speed and how the roll felt. So hopefully people have a good time. I'm really excited. I know not a lot of people even have access to the PTR. You know, our entire console audience can't get there and play there.
Yeah.
So they're not going to get to play him for a little while still. But I'm so excited for when people get their hands on him. I think it's going to be pretty good.
This guy's just spinning in circles.
Yeah, you can do that.
That's all he's doing.
Yeah. We have this guy on our team. He's a really talented designer. His name's Mac. He's the guy who made like Chateau, Deathmatch Chateau.
Oh, that's such a good map.
Yeah, that was his first thing he did on our team for us too. Was that map? He just like showed up, made that in his first week, and we're like, oh my god, you're amazing.
That's awesome.
But Mac is hilarious because the way he plays the game is ultra aggressive, and usually he plays tanks or supports. But when he plays support for us, he likes to play Moira, and he's the type of Moira who like always is first, like leading the team.
Yeah.
I don't mean on the scoreboard or anything like that. I mean like physically, geographically, always out in front of us. And then you'll see him fade into the enemy team, and we're like, oh man, like I don't think that's going to end too well for us. And sure enough, he melts. But then Wrecking Ball came along, and it's like the perfect hero for Mac.
He now has his own hero.
And we're all so excited. Like, but before, when you'd have Mac on your team, you'd be like, oh god, is Mac going to play Moira? Because we're kind of in trouble if he is. But now, when Mac insta-locks Wrecking Ball, we're all really, really excited. We're like, yeah, just get in there and disrupt and do your thing. So I think it speaks to a certain play style.
Yeah, definitely. I think all the ultra aggressive players who just want to get in there, they're going to love this hero.
Yeah.
The only thing I get concerned about when I see heroes like this is that I feel, I brought this up to Goodman too, is I think since release, Overwatch has seen mobility creep and heal creep, where essentially every new hero that gets put